Hey there, today I'm sharing over 2.5 hours of decluttering, organizing, and some cleaning, while as usual we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different topics. Every once in a while I like to gather a handful of my most recent videos and add them into a marathon video so you can have it on in the background while you're getting stuff done, being productive, and you don't have to worry about switching to find different videos. If you are new here, hi, my name is Kat. I am 30 years old. I'm a first-time mom to my son Louie, who is 9 months, almost 10 months. You can probably hear him in the background. And here on YouTube, I create a ton of home, lifestyle, and mom life content, all with the goal that you could have my videos on in the background while you're getting stuff done so that I can kind of be a friend to keep you motivated, keep you company as you are being productive. So if you are new, I would love for you to consider subscribing. And with all that being said, let's get productive together. Today we are cleaning, decluttering, organizing. We are doing it all. I have a handful of different declutter and organization projects that I'm so excited to take you through today and hopefully give you some motivation to get productive, get stuff checked off of your to-do list. If you are new here, hi, my name is Kat. I am a first-time mom to my amazing son Louie. He is almost 8 months old. I don't know where the time has gone. And of course, my baby girl Callie, who you see on the bed. And really the point of these videos is for you to have in the background while you're getting stuff done, being productive, so I can be a friend to motivate you, hold you accountable, and make your everyday to-do list tasks a little bit more enjoyable. I like to think of these videos as almost like podcast-esque style because I definitely do have music play throughout it, but most of it is honestly me rambling and talking about different tips and hacks and habits and things that make my life better that I hope can help you out, and then also life updates and things going on in my life. And in today's video, along with talking about the different decluttering and organizing projects that we're going to do, I also thought it would be fun to share some of the habits that I've been adding into my routine. These is nothing revolutionary, but they're all kind of all over the place. Like, they're kind of random stuff that I have found just makes me feel like my life is more together when I'm consistent with them. So I thought it would be fun to sprinkle those in throughout the voiceover as well. Okay, this first habit may not be what you would think when I talk about healthy habits, but it is a healthy habit that I think we should all do probably more than we do it. And that is what I'm doing right now on the screen, vacuuming. I actually kind of enjoy vacuuming, but I think vacuuming gets overwhelming when I think about having to lug my vacuum around the entire house. So this habit is to vacuum at least one room in my home every single day. And at first this seemed a little stressful to me, but realistically, if I tell myself I just need to do one room today, and that literally takes like 3 minutes, that makes it feel so much more manageable. And every single day I'm vacuuming a different room, so that helps me stay on top of it and my floors just stay a lot cleaner. So kind of random, but vacuuming every single day. Okay, it is time to tackle our first decluttering and organization project of the video, and that is my son's clothing drawers. These drawers have gotten so out of hand, one, because I've been doing a lot of shopping recently and getting him a lot of new clothes, but also he has outgrown so many of his outfits, but I haven't taken them out of the drawers yet, so I need to take all of those that don't fit him anymore. We need to store those, and then we can figure out how to best organize all of the clothes that he is like still wearing at this point. One thing that I did not realize about babies, and this is something that like, how did I not think about it? But I guess there's so much that you can't think of everything before you have one, right? Is just how quickly they outgrow clothes. I swear I'll buy an outfit. I'm so excited about it. He can wear it for like 2 weeks and then he's outgrown it. So something that I do now, and I'm curious if you're the same way, I will buy like 2 sizes up. I mean, obviously for some clothes, they need to fit him perfectly, but I recently got him a little set that was an 18 months outfit and it fits him perfectly. Like you would, I mean, it's obviously a tiny bit big, but you couldn't really tell. And now I know that he'll he'll be able to wear it for at least a couple months. Also, I know that I do need to find a better way to store the clothes that don't fit him anymore. You can see right now I'm just piling them into this basket, and while it works for now, we just store it in the closet. I do want it to be a bit more organized and separated it out, because right now that literally has all of his like newborn to now 6 to 9 months outfits in there. So I'll have to reorganize that. Okay, I thought this was a great time to talk about the next habit that I'm implementing, because it's a difficult one, but it has to do with clothes. Honestly, pretty much only Louie's clothes, because since becoming a mom, I rarely buy stuff for myself. I'll be honest, I have gotten really good at not impulse purchasing, like random home decor and random clothes for myself. Impulse purchasing stuff for Louie, that I'm not that good at, and I find myself grabbing an outfit or two every time I go to the store. So the habit is only buying clothes for Louie when I go to the store if I went there intending to buy them. Like if I'm like, I know that I need to get this type of an outfit, or I know I need to get him some new clothes, then I can go. Otherwise, I'm not buying him any clothes, because yes, I may see something that's super cute, but we've got plenty of cute outfits at home, and all I'm doing is filling up our drawers to the point where they're becoming a huge mess, and also like kind of spending more money than I really should. So that's the next habit that I am working on right now. Also, side note, but these bamboo drawer dividers, I got them from Amazon and I absolutely love them. I think they look really aesthetically pleasing, but more importantly, they help to organize, like separate out the sections in the drawer. So I find that very helpful. Now, this bottom left drawer, it was filled with sheets that honestly we don't even use, because a lot of them were bassinet sheets. He outgrew that like months ago. And then there were a few Snuggle Me sheets, which we rarely ever use that anymore. So I don't need that many extra sheets in there or covers. So a lot of that I'm going to put into storage. And then I was also rearranging the drawer dividers down here to try and make better use of the space. We do play around with it a few times and change up what is down in this drawer versus the other drawers a bit, but I think that's all part of organizing. A huge part of it is trial and error and actually living with what you organize to see if that's the best method for you or way to lay it all out. And then if you decide that, yeah, this wasn't really great, then you can redo it. So whenever you're organizing a space, obviously try and get it to be what you want the first time, but know that 99% chance once you start using it, you'll probably end up switching one or two things out, and that's totally okay. That's part of the process, and because you'll figure out what works best once you actually start using it in the new way. This is totally random, but I'm curious if anybody is the same way. I really don't enjoy folding my own laundry. Putting it away, mine and my husband's laundry, just not my favorite task. I do it, obviously, because it's got to be done, but it's not what I find most enjoyable. However, putting away Louie's clothes, I actually really enjoy, and I think it's mostly because I think it's two reasons. One, there's just less clothes, so it doesn't take as long. But also they're smaller and I'm more just like rolling it up and popping it in. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's more condensed of a space. I actually don't fully know why it is, but I find that folding and putting away his clothes way more enjoyable than my own or my husband's. And I'm curious if that's something you can relate to. Now, like I said, Louis recently outgrew like almost all of his clothes, so I did go on an intentional shopping trip where the goal was to purchase a handful of new clothes for him that would fit. So I had all those in the wash, and later in this video, we're going to come back, put all those away, and then I'll show you the final before and after of the drawers. But for right now, we're going to do a little bit of a diaper restock. I'm adding as many as I can fit down into this bottom drawer. I do like to keep a handful in this diaper caddy up top just for easy access. Grab it and put it on him, way easier than having to bend down to that drawer. And then the rest of the diapers that didn't fit in the drawer will go stick in the closet until there is space for them. Okay, now if you're looking at this screen, you're probably like, Kat, are you kidding me? You've said that you're going to clean this closet out like 500 times already. And yes, I know we have not gotten to it yet, but I promise you that is coming. In the next few weeks, this closet needs to be decluttered and reorganized, and I will be filming a video for it. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, I'm just kind of restocking everything into the closet, how I can fit it. It's kind of like a organized mess, if that makes sense. Like I know where everything that I need to use on a however often basis is. And then there's the stuff that's just pushed back there to store that I never touch, but it looks like a mess. Obviously stuff is kind of pouring out, so we do really need to work on it. Now, honestly, sometimes I do question why I even bother cleaning up Louis' toys in this scenario, or like, when they're just kind of splattered around the room, because I know that in like 20, 30 minutes when we're back up here for playtime, it's going to get messy again. But there's also something very satisfying about putting away the stuff and making it a neat area, clean area. So we are still taking a couple minutes to tidy up his little play area. And I know that I said one of my new habits is to vacuum one room a day, but obviously that's like a minimum, we don't have to only vacuum one room a day, and I was feeling motivated to keep vacuuming another one. So here we are vacuuming up Louis' nursery floor as well.
I love you. I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
Okay, moving on to the bathroom. This is like a little preview of one of my upcoming Decluttering My Entire Home episodes, because this section of my bathroom, these drawers need extreme attention. They really need some work. Did I feel like doing it today, or did I have the energy or time? No, absolutely not. But will we be doing it soon? Yes, we will. So for right now, I just kind of popped everything back in the drawers and closed it. Whatever I needed to do to get everything to fit, that's what I did. I know this is not the best routine, but it's realistic, and I'm sure that you can probably relate to doing this sometimes as well. But as far as the rest of the bathroom, I am just unpacking some stuff. I had been staying at my mom and stepdad's. Actually, when we had that massive snowstorm, Tim, me, Louie, and our dog Callie all stayed there, which was really nice, but it was also nice to get home and kind of like do a home reset. I also decided this drawer to take out everything that was in there so that I could place it back in a little bit more of an organized manner. This is a great example of like, not everything has an exact spot, but these are the products that I use pretty much every single day. So I like to have them just laid out there, easy access, and that works really well for me. Okay, so this next habit is not daily, but it's every few days, and that is to do a deep clean of my bathroom every 3 to 4 days. Your bathroom is a place that you go to clean yourself, so it's really important that that space is kept clean as well. So when I say deep clean, I mean obviously wiping down the counters, wiping the mirror down, like those are pretty simple things, but then also vacuuming and mopping the floor, doing a wipe down of the bathtub, shower area, things that I don't necessarily do as often as I should, but they really don't take much time, and when I do them, it just makes me feel so much more serene in my bathroom because I know that it's super duper clean. Now, moving on to the playroom. This is a very exciting organization project. Can you call it? Yeah, we're reorganizing my son's toys. Now, as you can see, I am picking everything up off the floor because it is finally time to add a playpen. Louis is not crawling forward yet, but he has figured out how to crawl backwards. And he also does this thing where he like stands himself up with his butt in the air and then like plops himself down on one side. And then he'll keep doing that to like slowly move to wherever he wants to go. It's so adorable. But the moral of the story is he is moving around. So we definitely needed an enclosed area where he couldn't like get into things where he could potentially get hurt. Now, I've talked about before that me and my husband are looking to buy a house. So we'll hopefully do that sooner than later. And once we do, I plan to get one of those mats that is a little more cushioned and fits perfectly within the playpen itself. For right now, I'm really trying not to make any big purchases that aren't absolutely necessary because that just would be one extra thing that we have to move when we do eventually move. And for right now, this carpet is totally fine. So here we are. This is actually the next day because I decided to wait for my husband to be able to help me. So we're putting it together. This is the Harpa. I believe that's the brand's name. We did get the largest size. I'll have the one we got linked in the description, but it has been so great. And it's so great to now be able to place him in there. And obviously I don't leave him in this room unattended, but even when I'm sitting in the chair, I don't have to worry about him crawling over to like that piano that you see or over to where the fireplace is because we have one of those in this room. Like I know that he's safe in the playpen. So this was one of the most exciting purchases that I've recently made. Now, when I first realized that I couldn't fit all of the stations in the playpen, you see like that little fishy play mat. I didn't have any room in here. I was really disappointed. And I also felt like maybe Louis wouldn't like that everything was so packed together, but I was so wrong. It worked out so perfectly because now it's so much easier for him to make his way from one station to the other. And a lot of times he'll be on his little rainbow mat and then he'll lean over into his ball pit and pull some of the balls in. And it's just so adorable. And often we'll kind of rearrange stuff while we're playing in here anyways. It worked out so well. And then we're able to put that fish mat in a different room so he has it somewhere else. And I was using these disinfectant wipes that I got from Amazon. Highly recommend. They're like baby safe ones to wipe down all of his little mat surface areas. I have not yet figured out how to clean the balls and the ball pit. So please let me know if you have any tips on that. Then we are lowering Louis in here so he can check it out, and it is a success. And since we've put it together, he plays in here every single day, multiple times a day. He loves it, and it's so much fun. I'm so glad that we got this playpen. Alrighty, moving over to the kitchen, we are going to do a tiny bit of decluttering in here, but first I'm cleaning off the island. Actually, first I was putting away the milk that I had just pumped. I cannot believe that I have been pumping and nursing for almost 8 months now. I swear, I feel like I blinked and we got here. My initial goal was to make it to 6 months, and I'm so grateful that I did. And right now I still have no plan of stopping, but we have started to supplement here and there with formula just because I wasn't producing enough to keep up with him. He eats a lot, and so it got to the point where it just was honestly a little too stressful for me to feel like if I wasn't producing enough, he was going to be hungry and he wasn't going to get the food he needed. Obviously, we never let that happen. That's when we went to formula, and that has definitely been such a weight off of my shoulders. So I'm really glad that we decided to do that. So that's been working really well. Like I said, I don't really have any plans on stopping nursing or pumping. I will say when I do eventually stop, I will miss nursing, but when it comes to pumping, that I will not miss. I will not miss pumping at all. I am very grateful to be able to do both because I think the combination of, being able to give him a bottle before we were doing formula at all, and also being able to just, for lack of a better word, whip it out and feed him, especially in the middle of the night or like if we're on the go or something, that combination has been incredible. So I wouldn't trade that. And I definitely am glad that we did the combo, but I definitely will not miss pumping when I'm done. Alrighty, so this next habit that I find really sets me up for success in the day is to empty the dishwasher in the morning first thing. Now, I will say I've gotten really, really good at loading the dishwasher every night before bed. Like every single night I do a clean of the kitchen, start the dishwasher. That way I know that I'm coming downstairs to a clean space, but I'm not always the best at emptying the dishwasher in the morning. So what I've started to do is while my coffee is brewing, that is when I will take the minute or two to just empty it out really quickly. Not only is that great because it's a productive habit in the morning that then kind of gets the ball rolling and I want to continue doing productive things throughout the day, but it also helps me keep a cleaner kitchen. Honestly, it's that simple because if my dishwasher is empty, then I can put dirty dishes directly in the dishwasher instead of them building up in the sink. And then come the end of the day, I have to not only empty the clean dishes, but then also reload the dishwasher. And then that's when it can just quickly become a mess. So one of my number one tips for keeping a clean kitchen is always start the dishwasher at night and always empty it first thing in the morning so that you can kind of maintain that throughout the day. Alrighty, so our next little declutter project is going to be the fridge. Now, I thought that I filmed myself emptying it out, but I hadn't. So here it is. Everything is already out of the fridge, or this is only a section of the fridge that we're doing today. But I took everything out and now we're wiping it down. It really wasn't that messy. And this is another thing. I guess you could throw this in there as another habit that I want to start doing a weekly clean of the fridge, because I feel like that's when it literally takes 5-10 minutes to take everything out, wipe it down, and put stuff back in. But if you go longer than that, then it just starts to build up with like more food and stuff that you forget about. And, maybe there's a spill that is in the back that you didn't see that really you have to now scrub super hard to get it off. So if you do it once a week, then it helps to maintain a clean fridge, which that's really the secret tip, if you will. It's not a secret, but that makes it sound more fun. The secret tip to keeping a clean home is maintaining it and doing smaller tasks every day, every couple days, every week, even every month to prevent massive buildup of messes. I am kind of wanting to do like a weekly cleaning routine where I talk about the things I do every week and how often throughout the week I do them. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. And then here I was just restocking my Belvita bars into my little coffee drawer, coffee basket. I love to have a Belvita bar every morning with my coffee. So adding some more in there. And then we're heading into the living room because we're going to do a quick little tidy in here.
To settle down, day nights and late nights don't get around, but there's something about you I like, you're crazy for saying I should slow down, but maybe I'm escaping the love we found. There's something about you
Alrighty, we are now back up in the nursery because all of the new clothes that I had bought for Louie have been cleaned, washed, dried, and we can now put them away. And I was so happy to put these clothes away. Like I said earlier, I actually do enjoy folding and putting away Louie's laundry, but it was even better now that everything was nice and organized. Well, I'll take that back. Prior to this little declutter session, when everything was a mess, I didn't enjoy it because I hate just stuffing stuff in a drawer. But now that everything has a spot, that made it so much better. And now here I'm sharing the before and after of each of the drawers. I swear this is the biggest motivation that I always have, is being able to look at the before and after and just knowing how much easier it's going to be to use the space and how much better it's going to feel to have it decluttered and organized. So if you're not already, this is your sign to start tackling that big project that you know you've been wanting to get done. Hey, I'm Kat, tackling 4 spaces in my home: my desk drawers, some of my pajamas, or like my 2 pajama bins, some of my son's toys, as well as my socks, which may seem random, but you'd be surprised at how many like mismatched pairs there are. And throughout the voiceover of this video, I'm also going to be sharing some of my favorite tips and methods on how to declutter, so hopefully you can get some helpful information throughout this video. So with all that said, grab a fun drink, maybe some coffee, some ice water, tea, whatever you're feeling, and let's get productive together. So to start off, we're going to tackle my office drawers. Now here I have a garbage garbage and a box that I'm going to be putting everything to donate in, because my goal here is to get rid of as much as I possibly can. I feel like these drawers have become so cluttered because there's so much stuff that I really don't need. Honestly, I have also decluttered these before. Actually, funny enough, I think a year ago in like February of 2024, I decluttered these drawers in a video. Actually, now that I think about it, I feel like I was wearing this exact same sweater in that video, which is kind of funny. But we're back a year later to declutter, which is very normal. I think we often have to revisit spaces time and time again, and not doing it for a year is probably waiting a little too long. But I will say that part of the reason it got as messy as it did again is because I really did not get rid of as much as I think I should have last year. I think there were so many items in here that I'm like, oh, maybe one day I'll need it. And then it never ended up happening. I haven't touched it. So we're going to be donating and getting rid of a lot of stuff. So my first step for the top 3 drawers is to remove everything from them, and then we'll figure out what's going back in. So on the purple mat, that's stuff that I'm going to be putting back in the drawer. To the left there is stuff that I'm not getting rid of, but it does not belong in these drawers and it can be moved somewhere else. And then as you see, I'm like throwing stuff that's garbage out and putting donation stuff into that box on the floor. So really just taking it item by item. And something else that I wanted to do throughout this video is share different tips and like my favorite ways to declutter as much as possible, because I totally understand that it can be really difficult sometimes. And I have a lot of things that have really helped me to declutter different spaces in my home and get rid of stuff that, you know, I was probably holding on to for a little too long. Because if you're anything like me, having a bunch of stuff everywhere definitely messes with your peace and like your mindset and stuff. Okay, so tip number 1 when it comes to decluttering, and this is probably my favorite thing to ask myself when I'm trying to decide if I want to keep an item or get rid of it, is if I didn't already have this, would I be looking to buy it? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. Now, I love using this when decluttering clothes. I think that it's a really great way to, you know, figure out if you've got 5 white t-shirts and you're like, do I really need 5 white t-shirts? Well, if I had 3, would I go buy 2 more to add those to my collection? Probably not. So you can probably get rid of them and save space. But I almost found it more difficult to do that with these more like office desk style items, because I found myself thinking like, well, you know, these little stickers that go around a piece of like the holes on a piece of paper, if you need to put it in like a binder or something, like I have them, and what if one day I end up needing it? Do you know how many years I've had those in this drawer and I have never once reached for them? And if I didn't own them, I definitely would not be going out to buy them. If the day ever comes where I need that, I can order them or I can run to the store. It's just not something that needs to be taking up space here. So I finally decided to put those in the donate bin. So by asking myself if I would go out and buy this if I didn't already have it, if the answer is no, there's no reason to be keeping it and, you know, just storing it for something that I'm not actually using. So my next tip is more of the method I like to use whenever I'm decluttering a space, and that is to separate everything into piles. I think when you're looking at a space that's a complete mess, say it's a closet, a drawer, a cabinet, whatever it is, a room, maybe I had that in, I think it was episode 4 in the series, we did a complete declutter of my home office, or episode 5, which was turning our junk room into my son's playroom. So sometimes it's an entire room, but regardless of how big the cluttered mess is, it can feel really overwhelming when you're just looking at the project as a whole. So my favorite method is to use the 5-pile method, which is where you do an initial sort with 5 piles, and every item either goes into the keep here pile, the move somewhere else pile, the donate pile, the throw out pile, or the not sure pile. And when you're going through this first sort, you want to give no more than like 5, maybe 10 seconds to each item that you pick up. It makes you think quickly. And what is your gut reaction, your first thought when you hold up this item? Is this really something that you want to keep? Are you kind of like, nope, you know what, this can go? Or if you really are unsure, you can place it in that pile, and then afterwards you can go back and, spend a little bit more time thinking about each of the items in the unsure pile. So big or small space, highly recommend the 5 pile method. So once I had made all of my piles, I then started going drawer by drawer and adding items back in to kind of see how I was going to play around with it. And this definitely is fluid. Like, since I did this project, I have already made a few edits, I'm thinking in terms of like computer editing. I've already made a few changes where there's a couple items that I took out. I'm like, you know what? I don't actually need this. I can put this in the donate bin. So decluttering is definitely an ever-going process. I was actually on a work call today. It was like a big team meeting. There were like 30, 40 people on there. And as part of the meeting, we do little breakout groups and we all have to answer a question, like a little icebreaker for the meeting. And today's question was, what is a spring ritual that you have? Literally every single person said cleaning and decluttering. And obviously I said that too, but then again, I kind of do that all year round, as you could tell by my videos. And this one person I worked with said something that I thought was really cool. He was talking about how much he likes that come springtime, it's almost like, a collective thing that all of us humans, for the most part, like do spring cleaning and decluttering. It's like a sense of unity. We're all living our own lives. We're all in our own world, but we all end up doing a very similar thing this time of year. And I love that for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, he's right. It does give you a sense of unity and like motivation to think about like, hey, it's not just me trying to declutter right now. Almost everybody is in some way, shape, or form trying to declutter and clean out their life and do a nice deep clean, deep reset of their home. So we're kind of like all in this together kind of a mindset. And also just in general, spring is like a great time to declutter because it's getting so nice out. You can open up the windows, let fresh air in. I mean, depends where you live. I say that as I live in Connecticut, and this week it's supposed to be 30s and 40s, so I won't doing that. We had 170-degree day last week, which was incredible, but I don't think we're expecting those for several weeks at least, but that'll be nice when it comes. I'm totally getting sidetracked here. Moral of the story, I think that the springtime is the perfect time to declutter and clean your home because it really it's like we're all in this together. We're all doing this. We're all working at it. So whenever you feel unmotivated, know that you are not alone in this process and you're going to feel so much better after you get the project done. This bottom one here is designated to like my cards and envelopes and stamps and things like that. And I had this little set of fall cards in there that I want to say like 6 or 7 years, maybe even more. I have had them. They were like little mini square cards that had leaves on them. And for over half a decade, through countless declutters, multiple moves, I have kept them and told myself that I may one day want to send out fall cards to people and that these are perfect. First of all, it has been years that I have never done that. I've never thought to send out fall cards. And I don't know why I said first of all. That's literally the only point, because that's the only point that's necessary. I literally have not done it for years. So why do I need to keep saving them? They have survived countless declutters and I always keep them because I'm like, you know what, maybe one day. No, Kat. So I finally was like, if the day comes that I decide that I just have to send out fall cards this year to people, I can go to the store and buy some. They're not that expensive. Chances are it's not going to happen though? Now that I got rid of those, now it's going to happen. Watch, if you know me in real life, next year you're probably getting a fall card, but it won't be those mini square ones. But that was just a little story time about one of the items that I finally decided to declutter and let go of, and it feels really good that I did. Now, let's take a step back. Here is a reminder of what the first drawer looked like, and here's the after. Such a satisfying before and after to me. Here's the second drawer and after. So much better, so much more organized. Third drawer, a bunch of cluttered mess, and after, it looks so much better, so neat, so simple, so much less stuff. Here's the fourth drawer. Again, one of the best things I did was get rid of a bunch of stuff because it's easier to keep a space clean the less stuff that there is, and everything in here I actually use. So I'm so grateful with all of that. And with all that being said, let's move over to the next project. And for this project, we're going to be decluttering my pajama bins. As you can see, they are overflowing. I never wear like half of these. I'm always picking through them to try and find the ones that I want. So we're going to take care of that right now. Alrighty, now let's talk about a few tips on how to handle decluttering sentimental items. That's definitely one of the most difficult categories because these are items that you feel attached to in one way or another, whether somebody gave it to you who you really care about, or it's a souvenir from a really amazing trip, or maybe if it's an item of clothing that you wore to a certain dance from years ago that you had a great time at. When we attach emotions to objects, it can be really, really difficult to let them go, even if they're literally just stuffed in the back of a closet. We never use it, we never touch it, we never look at it. And it's probably something you don't even think about until you take it out. And then when you're trying to declutter a space, this shirt comes out that you got from, a trip you took 10 years ago. And you're like, oh, I can't get rid of this shirt. It's a great shirt. Now let me just stuff it back in the back of that drawer. And I'm never actually going to wear it or think about it until another year from now when I try and declutter the space again. So you see, it's just like, what is the point of keeping it? So a few things that you can do. Number one, separate the memory from the object. You want to ask yourself, is this memory in the item or is it in me? And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's also really powerful because often the object just triggers the memory, but you don't need the actual item to keep the memory alive. You have that in your mind. And so something you can do as well, if it's an item that you decided you want to let go, but you just don't want to forget it in that sense, take a photo of it. And then you can have an album in your phone or email them to yourself. Like a memory album on your phone or your computer is a really, really great way to go about that. And chances are you're going to look at that album on your phone more often than you would go open that box at the back of your closet to look at whatever items they are. So it really can be a pro in both ways. You're saving space and you're going to get to actually see and appreciate the item more often. Another mindset tip that helps me a lot is to remind yourself that you may not be getting any practical use out of this item. It's more of just an emotional connection you have. But if you do decide to donate it, somebody may find that shirt or that piece of decor, or that little knickknack that you just kind of have stuffed in a box for whenever you feel like looking at it, which never happens unless you're trying to declutter. And somebody may find that at a secondhand thrift store or something and be like, wow, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And they're going to treasure it and love it and use it. So I kind of tell myself, like, if I donate this, I'm going to be giving it to somebody who's going to give it a second life and give it, all these opportunities to shine again. Super cheesy. And some of you are probably listening to me like, Kat, you're absolutely crazy, but it makes sense in my head. And I guarantee you at least one of you understands where I'm getting at with that. Because yes, they're just objects, but it can feel very sad to let go of them when you've attached an emotional connection to it. So almost thinking of it as like, I want somebody else to find this object or whatever it is. I want somebody else to wear this dress and experience what I did while having it in my life. And I find that so helpful because it really kind of flips the script. And instead of thinking of it as I'm like really sad to let this item go, instead I think of it as I'm so excited to let it go for the next person to get it and use it in their life and treasure it and be excited about it and wear it or whatever it is. But anyways, now we're done decluttering my pajamas. As a reminder, this is how messy and stuffed they were before. And here's the after. So much cleaner, so much neater, and only the ones that I actually wear. So now we can head over to my son's nursery because our next decluttering project is his toys and his books, or his toys that are up in his nursery at least. For the most part, I'm not getting rid of any of these toys because we really haven't bought that many, and the ones that we have got are like, we really, really love them, and hopefully in the future when we'll have a second baby, we'll be able to use them. My mother-in-law gifted him a Love Every subscription, so every couple of months he gets a new box with more like age developmental appropriate toys, and we look forward to that every couple of months. But a lot of the toys from the earlier boxes he isn't as interested in anymore, and even if he is, I do think there's a lot of value in swapping out his toys versus just having them all laid out for him all of the time, because one, it helps him stay more focused on the toys that are in front of him versus getting, constantly switching from this toy to that one and getting distracted and all of that. And I've also talked about before, I'm a huge fan of the rotation method for toys where, every month or so I can swap out the toys that he has out in his area to play. And I think especially as he gets older, this will be really great because one, he'll be getting more toys, but two, he'll be more aware that, they are new toys, and it'll be like an exciting thing that he's getting to see these toys that he technically already had, but they're going to feel new to him because he hasn't had a chance to play with them in a little bit. So definitely a fan of that method. And then over here, I made a rule for myself that each shelf in the little book section can have no more than 3 books because they were just getting so filled up and we're not reading all of them. So again, I love the rotation method. So here I'm just making sure that there's only 3 per row and then taking out any that we're going to put somewhere else for now. Alrighty, on to our last organization project of the video. This one's kind of silly isn't the right word, but I don't know, it just feels random. We are decluttering my socks. My sock bin has just become so full, and half these socks, actually more than half, probably like 75% of these socks I never wear, but I'm like, oh, I can't get rid of them. Yes, I can. If I'm not wearing them, I can get rid of them. I love the method of declaring sock bankruptcy, where you basically get rid of as many socks as you can, and then you just start fresh with all new ones that are the same color, same size, whatever. I mean, I would imagine they're all the same size anyways, but you know what I mean? It helps to avoid mismatched socks and make your sock drawer just a little less of a thing that you have to worry about or continuously go and declutter and reorganize. So for me, I didn't get rid of all of my socks because there are a handful that I actually do love wearing, but the majority of these socks we are getting rid of. I never wear them. I never want to reach for them, so they can go. And just to zoom out a bit on decluttering as a whole, remind yourself that you are decluttering to create a more peaceful home, a more peaceful environment, and a space where you really can thrive and feel your best in. And that really makes it feel like a lot more motivating to get to decluttering. Also, I like how in some of these clips you see my husband's hand make an appearance. He was playing with our son on the bed, and then obviously Callie was in here hanging out. It was like a whole family affair as I was organizing socks. But if you watch until this part, comment a sock emoji. Is there a sock emoji? I don't know, but if there is, comment it. And on that note, here's a reminder of what the bin looked like before, and here is after. So much better, so much less cluttered. Hey, I'm Kat and welcome to another decluttering and cleaning video. Today we are tackling a pretty massive declutter project in my home. We're also doing some baby proofing because my son Louis is 8 months and he is a little crawler now. We have a little bit of cleaning, picking up, tidying up to do, and I'm excited to take you along. So if you've got stuff to check off on your to-do list and you want to be productive together, grab yourself a fun drink and Louis, my son, says hi. Let's get productive together. Alrighty, diving right in. The first thing we're going to tackle in today's video is my office closet, which, as you can see, has become a complete cluttered mess. We've got a lot of decluttering and a lot of organizing to do here. And part of the reason that we're starting with this closet is that my spring decor is in one of those bins that is completely buried by everything else. So the first step is to pop in some headphones. I was listening to a clean and declutter with me video as well. That's like my favorite thing to do while I'm getting stuff done. So I'm so happy that I can be a friend while you're being productive. And let's start taking everything out of the closet. Now in this video, we're really focusing on decluttering, organizing, a little bit of baby proof. Grab yourself a fun drink and Louie, my son, says hi. Let's get productive together. Alrighty, diving right in. The first thing we're going to tackle in today's video is my office closet, which as you can see has become a complete cluttered mess. We've got a lot of decluttering and a lot of organizing to do here. And part of the reason that we're starting with this closet is that my spring decor is in one of those bins that is completely buried by everything else. So the first step is to pop in some headphones. I was listening to a Clean and Declutter with Me video as well. That's like my favorite thing to do while I'm getting stuff done. So I'm so happy that I can be a friend while you're being productive. And let's start taking everything out of the closet. Now in this video, we're really focusing on decluttering, organizing, a little bit of baby proofing, and going through some of my spring decor and adding a couple little spring touches to my living room. And while we will be doing a little bit of cleaning in this video, I want to make a separate one that is my complete deep spring cleaning routine. I want to make it like a step process, all the different areas to clean. So that is to come. But today we're really focusing on decluttering and bringing out some decor. Alrighty, as I was decluttering the closet, I couldn't not say something about this. So in one of my previous decluttering videos, I shared this Taylor Swift calendar that I got. It's from last year, 2025, but I talked about how I really love it and I want to keep it, so I'm going to just store it away. And I got somebody who commented and they were basically like, you're calling this an extreme declutter, yet you're keeping a calendar from last year. And that is so true. And so I decided it is time to declutter it. It was great to have it last year, but if I really want another Taylor Swift calendar, I can just order one for 2026. Or 2029, I don't know, whenever the year is that I want another one. Now, as I'm taking everything out of the closet, I started with a very rough sort into different piles. The pile method is my favorite when decluttering. So for example, the pile underneath the window is stuff that I'm pretty sure is going back in the closet. Then I have a pile of stuff that's going to be donated. I have a pile of stuff that I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with. And then I also have a pile of stuff that I'm not getting rid of, but it does not belong in this closet anymore. And I will say that this initial sweep that you do, literally think no more than 5 to 10 seconds on the item. Don't give yourself too much time to contemplate, because the goal is really to just get everything out, get it all sorted, and then you can start going section by section or pile by pile and figuring out what to do with the stuff that maybe you weren't sure of at the beginning. Now, I definitely wouldn't consider myself a minimalist, but as the years go by, I've definitely found myself wanting less and less stuff in my home. So I'm currently on a journey to get rid of as much as I possibly can in my home and declutter as many spaces. I actually have an entire series that's called Decluttering My Entire Home. So I'll have that linked in the description if you're interested. I think there's 6 videos in that series already. So as I'm going through this stuff, I am being very, very particular with what I choose to keep and what I don't. Again, I'm not somebody who, just wants to get rid of everything, but if it doesn't serve myself or somebody in my family value and a purpose, there is no need for us to keep and hold on to it. And one of my favorite rules that I'm trying to implement, and I highly recommend that you do the same, is never fill a space to full capacity, whether this is kitchen cabinets, a office drawer, your closet, the bathroom drawer, whatever it is. If you fill it to as much as it can possibly hold, one, that just is going to feel more messy. It's not going to feel as organized, even if you have perfect organization, if it's stuffed to the brim. And on top of that, the second that you add something else, because it's inevitable that you will at some point, become a cluttered mess again so much quicker. So aim to never fill any space to full capacity. And that is one of my favorite tricks on keeping your home decluttered and organized. This green crayon I had to share. So this is actually a coin collector, and growing up, my grandma used to have it in her home. You can see it's seen some use, and she would always fill it with change. And whenever me and my sisters would come visit her, she would pour it out all in the bed. We would separate it all out, count it all out, and then split whatever the amount of money was between me and my sisters. And that was such a fun tradition that I loved. So I'm really excited to continue that with Louie, my son, who I don't know if I actually mentioned, I have an 8-month-old son. So if you are new here, hi, I'm Kat. I am a first-time mom. I'm 30 years old. I live in Connecticut. I've been married to my husband, Tim, for almost 2 years, but we've actually been together since I was 18 and he was 19. And I guess there was a little intro to me. I wasn't planning on adding that into the section, but that fit kind of nicely, right? And if you're hearing this, I would love for you to introduce yourself in the comments. I know some of you that when I see you comment, you're like, you comment on a lot of my videos, and I notice that. I notice when your usernames are the same, and I love hearing from you. And I would also love to hear from some of you guys who maybe haven't commented before and introduce yourself and say hi. I can't tell you how much that means to me when you take a moment to write a comment or share the video or like the video, anything like that. I mean, even just watching the video means the absolute world to me. And I don't know, it feels cheesy saying that, but I don't know how to put into words how much I appreciate it. And I hope that what actually shows that I appreciate it is that I keep putting out videos. I mean, I do it because I love it. I truly find this to be my therapy, to be honest. I mean, I've been making videos for many years, and I do work a full-time job on top of creating content, and obviously I have my son, so I have quite a busy schedule, but this is something that I love so much, and I love putting these videos out for you. So I just want to say how much I appreciate you taking the time to watch them and engage with them, and yeah, I really appreciate you. This was that moment where I was looking around thinking, what the heck did I get myself into? This is overwhelming. There's too much to do. And honestly, I came close to just walking out of the room, closing the door behind me and forgetting about it. But I did not do that. I had a sip of my coffee and I got back to work. And I promise you, if you can do that and keep pushing forward, it's going to be so worth it. Alrighty, now while I was talking about stuff that had nothing to do with actually cleaning and organizing the closet before, I did take everything out. I mopped the floor. I vacuumed the floor, not in that order. I vacuumed it first, then I mopped it, 'cause the other way wouldn't make any sense. And now I'm putting everything back in. And this part definitely takes a little bit of trial and error, and kind of you'll see me, if you're looking at the screen, rearrange where I have stuff on the different shelves. Some stuff I put in, then I end up deciding that we're not going to store it in this closet and there's a better place in my home to put it anyways. But just taking a little bit of time. And I think that's really important whenever you're organizing an area, to be fluid with the process and know that just because you place a item down doesn't mean it needs to stay there. And once you fill in the rest of the space, you might realize that, one of the items actually would be better fitted somewhere else, or maybe you need a different style bin or size or shape or whatever it may be. I think being fluid and patient with yourself as you go through the organization process is really, really important. Now, if you're not new here, you've probably heard me talk about the nanny saga that we had. A super quick recap. Like I said, I do work a full-time job from home. I was lucky enough to take 6 months maternity, but I went back to work in January. And at that time, my husband and I had decided we wanted to have somebody come to the home and watch Louie versus sending him to daycare. We are so fortunate that my mom does 2 days a week, but we needed somebody for the other 3. So the process was a lot more difficult than I originally anticipated. We actually had hired 2 different people in the process and then ended up it not working out. One of them actually came for the first day, and then after that it ended up not working out. And there were so many times I felt like we weren't going to find somebody. I didn't realize just how difficult the search is. And I think that goes for, or actually I know that goes for, if you're looking for a nanny or if you're looking for a daycare to send your child to. Just the process of trying to find childcare is so draining, or it can be, because your child is the most important thing in your entire world, and you're trying to find somebody who's going to watch them. So moral of the story, it was a very drawn out, very stressful process, but I am so grateful that we are, in the position to hire a nanny, and it all worked out amazingly because we ended up finding somebody who is just wonderful. She is great with Louie. Louie loves her. She is super flexible, which is wonderful, and like the days that she can come. So I guess I say all of that to say that sometimes waiting is the right option and being patient. And, if things just feel like they keep not working out, remind yourself that in time, it will make sense as to why things are happening the way that they are. So I thought I would share that little reminder just in case anybody needed to hear that, and hopefully that can resonate with somebody out there. Now, you can see here that I am doing a couple little finishing touches on these shelves, but actually we're going to take a pause from this closet and head upstairs to my son's nursery because I have a little bit of restocking to do for diapers and wipes, and then we're going to come back to the closet downstairs a little later in this video. Now, we've been using coterie diapers for a while for my son. I just feel really good about the materials they use to make them. But up until recently, I could not justify the price of the wipes. So I found these water wipes from Amazon so much cheaper, fragrance-free, which was really, really important to me. And they're also 99% water. However, recently that did change. And I'm sorry if this is TMI, but when Louis had his first number 2 after having solids, I realized how, as it gets thicker, a thicker wipe is very, very beneficial. I remember after that first diaper change that I did, I went right to my computer and I ordered I did a subscription of the wipes. This is not sponsored, by the way. However, I would love to work with Coterie because we have been using them for a while. I love them. And while I definitely think the wipes from Amazon still work incredible, they're not comparable to how thick and durable the Coterie ones are. So I'm a huge fan. But anyways, I emptied the trash can and now we have a little bit of laundry in here to fold and put away.
When I dance around, I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever.
I feel like as a mom, and honestly before I was even a mom, this was kind of the same thing. The house never feels fully clean. It's like I clean one thing and then something else is already a mess. And then once that's clean, there's another thing that's a mess. And by far one of the best examples of this is laundry. Here we are entering my bedroom with a whole bunch of laundry to fold. I don't know if you can tell, well, if you're looking at the screen, this is a new outfit. It is a new day. The next morning, we are starting off by folding all this laundry in my room, which, like I said, laundry is one of those things that's just a continuous process. Once you finally fold and put all the clothes away, there's probably a dirty load that needs to go in the washer and a clean load that's in the dryer waiting to be folded. But honestly, I've kind of accepted that it's more about maintaining and resetting than having a perfect home all the time. And as cliche as it is, really honing into that feeling of gratitude and feeling grateful that you have clothes to fold, or you have dishes to clean, floors to mop, or you have a car to clean out, like all these things that can feel like a chore. But when you zoom out, it's really, really incredible that you have those tasks to do, because it means that you have those items and those spaces available to you. Now, I'm not going to lie, doing laundry this morning was probably the last thing that I felt like doing. This was around 8:30 a.m. Louis had just gone down for his morning nap, and I had about a half an hour before I had to start work for the day because, like I said, I do work a full-time job from home. But I knew that at the end of the workday, if I came up and the bed was made, because as you can see, we still had to put clean sheets on the bed as well, but if all the laundry was folded, put away, the bed was made, it was going to be such a good feeling. And honestly, even throughout my workday, not that I was up in the bedroom, but just knowing that the bedroom was clean, the bed was made, that was going to be such a great feeling. And that is what motivated me to get up off my butt and get it done. And I'm so glad that I did, because I was fully correct. I had a much better and much more productive workday knowing that these tasks were checked off my to-do list. Something that I probably don't do enough, but at the same time, I don't know how often you really have to do it. I don't know. I'm curious, how often do you do this? As part of my spring cleaning, I took off and washed not only the sheets, but also the mattress protector. I feel like I should be doing this at least once a month. Do I do it once a month? No. We do wash our sheets. Like I wash those at least once a week, but the mattress protector really doesn't get changed that often. But I'm curious if you have one, how often do you wash it? Now, Louis' playpen here, he hasn't slept in that for a very long time. He's been in his crib in the nursery, but we do keep this in here because it is so helpful. Now that he crawls and moves, I cannot put him anywhere that he is not contained if I'm not going to be eyes laser fixed on him 100% of the time, because it is crazy how quickly he gets from point A to point B. So when I'm doing my makeup, or if he's hanging out with me while I'm folding laundry or something, he'll hang out in the pack and play, and that is super, super convenient. But now let's fast forward to later that evening. We're back in the office. I've got this bag for some stuff that I'm going to donate. I've got a garbage bag, and then between this white bin and the brown bin, I want to take everything that is in these drawers, these clear drawers, and anything that we're going to be keeping, putting back in the closet will go into those, and then everything else I'm hoping to get rid of. As we go through these drawers, I cannot tell you how many items were in here that I was like, for years have been storing here, thinking to myself, one day I may need them. I may need these fake red rose petals that I got from the Dollar Tree like 5, 6, 7 years ago. That is one of the items that we come across. And so I finally got to the point where I'm like, Kat, just donate them. You've literally never reached for them in years. And if the day comes that I really want fake rose petals, I can go to the Dollar Tree and buy some more. But if it hasn't happened in the past half a decade, it probably isn't going to. Now, I will say one of the hardest mindset shifts that I kind of had to make here is that in the past, I have been the person that's like, I want to be the person who has everything. Anything that somebody is like, ooh, I really need a hole puncher. Oop, I've got it. Or, ooh, I really need some floss. Here, it's in my purse. And while there's some things like floss, I do always like to carry with me, but there's certain things like the fake rose petals that were $1 from the Dollar Tree. There's probably not going to be a time when somebody comes over to my house and says that they need those. And if there is, then I can just say that I don't have them and we need to buy them. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Because at the end of the day, I would rather be the person who has less stuff and less clutter in their home than the person who has literally everything that could possibly be needed at any moment. And every once in a while, that becomes super convenient. But for the most part, it's just a whole bunch of stuff that you're storing that never actually gets used. Now, one of my favorite organization hacks that I've used this for years is to use massive Ziploc bags. I guess they don't have to be big ones, but depending on what you're organizing, to group like items. So for example, I have these paint containers or like tubes of paint and paintbrushes. Those can all get grouped together in a bag. And then I have a ton of balloons that can all get grouped together in a bag. I think one of the bags we're going to get to is a hot glue gun with some glue sticks. And I think this is such a great organization method because one, they're incredibly inexpensive. You can get a pack of these for just a few dollars. They're clear, so you can easily see what's inside of them. There's so many different shapes and sizes depending on what you need to store. And then you can just plop them all in a bin and know exactly what you have whenever you need to go get something. So here's the final bin, and I just think that makes it so much easier and more practical. And something I always think about when decluttering is my future self, like what's going to be making my life easier tomorrow or next week or a few months down the road. Opening a drawer and not having it stuffed, being able to find things quickly and knowing exactly where to look for them, and not feeling overwhelmed walking into a room or opening a closet door. That's the goal, and that's really what, that's like the bigger, deeper meaning of decluttering and why it's really important to go through your home and do this. Now, of course, there are going to be those items you want to keep just because they are really sentimental. For example, this was one of my first cell phones, and I think this is something that will be cool to show my kids when they get older, even potentially my grandkids one day. So it is something that I want to keep, but I am going to be sticking it in my memory box. I think when there are more sentimental items that you don't want to let go of, having a specific place, a confined area that you keep them in is really going to do the trick. Now, I was so excited to finally be able to donate this bin. I think I got that initially when I went to college, so very happy to be able to donate that. Now, just as a reminder, here's the before, a complete cluttered mess, and here's the after. Not only does it look so much nicer and it's so much easier to get in there and navigate through the closet, but I know that everything in there is stuff that I actually want to have and use, or, it's purposefully stored there. So grateful that we got this done. Alrighty, and now we can head into the living room because we are going to be taking out my spring decor. I really don't have that much more. Years ago, I used to be the person to completely redecorate my entire home, and I do think that will be fun to do at some point, but this year is just not that year. I'm just kind of sprinkling in some little spring touches into my living room mostly. So first I'm tidying up, making the couch just so that it's a little bit neater in here, and then we can go through my decor bin. Actually, I forgot. We're going to be doing a tiny bit of baby proofing first. I do think a lot more baby proofing is to come, but for right now, I've really been wanting to get some sort of a cushion. That's not the right word, but something so when Louis is crawling around in the living room, that if he sits up underneath the coffee table or near the corner, because he does that quite frequently, that he's not going to bump his head. But first, I am wiping down the coffee table just because it makes the coffee table a lot nicer, cleaner looking, but also to make sure that it's a smooth surface before we stick this adhesive on. Now, I got this off Amazon. The one thing I will say I didn't think about when I ordered is I should have gotten two, because I need for the bottom of the coffee table and the top row. I didn't really think about that. I did decide to right now just do the bottom one because that's more, if he's sitting on the floor and he bumps his head on it, that would be the part that he's going to get. But I really like this. It was relatively cheap. I think it was like $16 or $17 for the kit. And then you can measure out the size of your coffee table or table or whatever it is that you're adding this to. So really happy that I finally got this done. Hey, I'm Kat, and welcome to another Clean and Declutter with me. In today's video, a little challenge I'm giving myself is that we are also going to declutter at least one area in every single room. So some of them will be easier to pick something to declutter, others will be a little more challenging, but I'm really excited to take you along with me. Don't forget to let me know in the comments what you are getting checked off your to-do list while you watch this video. Grab yourself a fun drink and let's get productive together. Alrighty, first room that we're going to tackle in today's Clean and Declutter with me is the living room. Now, I also wanted to mention, I'd say like 95% of my videos are filmed over the course of multiple days, just because being a full-time working mom, I do not typically have an entire day to dedicate to cleaning and decluttering or organizing or whatever that project may be. Now, while I didn't have all of today either, I did end up mashing it all into one day. I only had one day to film this, and I was like, you know what, we're going to get it done. And I definitely don't think there's a right or wrong there. Honestly, I often prefer splitting it up just because I feel more refreshed the next day when I come back to tackle a project. But it was also kind of fun to finish it all in one day today, get through every room, get through a declutter project in every room. It just felt really good. So whether you are tackling one space from start to finish today, or you're working on a section of a bigger project that you've had on your to-do list, I'm just so grateful that you chose to click on my video, and I'm really excited to get to keep you company as you get your work done. Now, as we go through each room, you'll see that, of course, as I mentioned, we are going to be picking at least one area to declutter. And I think this is a really fun challenge if you want to try and give yourself that task as well when you're cleaning, because it helps to maintain a clean home and decluttered home. I think one of the fastest ways that clutter builds is clutter, because the thing is, clutter attracts clutter. And if you have a junk drawer, then you're way more inclined to just toss something extra in there because it's like, oh, well, what's one extra item? Versus if that drawer is super clean and organized and everything has a space, even if it's like a messy organized, but you know, there's only a certain amount of things in there and everything that's in there is supposed to be in there, that's going to make you think twice before you just throw something in there and maybe find the place that it should actually go. And the best way to prevent clutter is to maintain the clutter. So that means every once in a while when you go to tackle a room, maybe challenge yourself to find one area to declutter. Maybe it's a full drawer, maybe it's a section of a drawer, maybe it's a shelf. Just pick an area in that space, declutter it, and over time you're going to be amazed at how fast your home starts to feel more organized and there's less stuff everywhere. I've been on this journey for a little while now, and it is such a breath of fresh air when I open a cabinet or walk into a closet that I have already decluttered, and it's just like, I just feel like I can breathe, and it feels so good to know that that space is clean and tidy. So this is your challenge here. Next time you are cleaning a room, whether you're doing it right now or later when you get to it, pick an area and declutter it. Okay, now I'm going to be completely honest with you. There really aren't any areas in my living room that have built up clutter. In episode 1 of my Decluttering My Entire Home series, we did tackle one of the cabinets underneath the TV. The other one barely has anything in it. It's like Tim's video games, which he hasn't touched in years. So there's really nothing to do in there. And those are really the only 2 cabinets or drawers in our living room. As you can see, everything else is just kind of open areas. But I did have this bag in the corner, which was filled with stuff from my car. Yesterday or the day before this, we had somebody come to clean my car, and we had just stuffed everything that was in there into this bag. So I figured this was the perfect opportunity to sort through the bag. Some of the stuff was garbage. Some of those clothes that I'm holding needed to go into the washing machine, and then everything that was supposed to go back in my car, I kept in the yellow bag and put that by the door, and we got that done. Now, moving on to the kitchen, you can see here, I was in that moment, I remember being so overwhelmed. This was just the messiest kitchen ever. Now that I'm editing and looking at the footage, I'm like, Kat, why were you so overwhelmed? There's 2 things. I mean, not actually, but it's been way messier. But for whatever reason, in that moment, I was very overwhelmed. So I cleared off the island a little bit, and then I decided I needed some more coffee. So I added some coffee to my glass, and that definitely gave me the little bit of boost that I needed to finish up cleaning and tidying up in here before we tackle the organization project for the kitchen. Having fresh flowers, specifically tulips, specifically yellow tulips, and a beautifully scented candle burning in my kitchen brings me an unbelievable amount of joy. And that definitely helped to just amp up that burst of energy I had to get cleaning. And it honestly really did work. I just, after having the combination of the coffee, the flowers, the candle, put me in such a good mood. So first I was tackling up the dishes here, and then we are going to be putting away all of Louis' bottle parts. I've talked about it before. We just wash his dishes in the dishwasher, like his bottles and my pump parts and stuff in the dishwasher, but then I use this Mom Cozy dishwasher to dry them. A few videos ago, we set up this little bottle organization station. It has held the test of time. I mean, it's been like a month, but oh my gosh, am I so happy that we did that. I think it's so worth it. If you have bottles and pump parts and stuff to store, absolutely love them. And then that drying rack is also really, really convenient. So if you're interested, I will have both linked below. If you're looking at the screen and you see these two new dogs that you may or may not have ever seen before walking around, that is Tucker and Jenna. They are my mother-in-law's dogs, and we were watching them, or we've been watching them. They've been in some of my videos in the past, so actually let me know if you've seen them before, but they're kind of hanging out here with us. Now, onto this organization project. So this one was pretty easy to know which one I was going to do. This cabinet of all of our Tupperware, and there's also some pans in there, or like glass pans, an ice cube maker, an avocado holder, like random stuff, some bowls that just became a complete cluttered mess in here. We're going to be tackling that. Taking everything out is the first step. I actually started off trying to separate the stuff into piles as I was taking it out onto that counter, but I quickly got overwhelmed with that, and I decided we're just going to take everything out and then sort piles from there. So while a lot of the stuff we do use, a lot of it we don't, and it's just been taking up space in that cabinet for literal years. So I decided it was finally time to part with them. A lot of that is these little lids that I have here in the top corner of the island. They, in theory, work so well, but I don't think we've really used them more than once when we first got them, and then they've just been taking up space. So I decided it is time to part with them, to donate them, and hopefully somebody else will get use out of them. Now, all of that plastic Tupperware, we get takeout a lot, probably more than we should. And so we're constantly getting these containers, but then we don't use them and they just get stuffed under there. So I decided those can go. And if, we find ourselves in need of more, well, we probably won't, because chances are we're going to get more takeout. And if we need it, we'll have them then. I think those plastic containers can be helpful in certain situations, but for the most part, we don't really use them. I also know that like warming up food in plastic containers like that is so bad for you. Using glass is 10 times better. And while I work from home and I don't really, pack my lunches, my husband, Tim, does go into work every single day. And when he brings his lunches, I would much rather him be eating out of glass than plastic. So we have a few of those that he can use. And I think that we can get rid of the plastic ones. Alrighty, so once I organized everything into piles and kind of figured out how I wanted to group things once I put them in the cabinet, I'm starting to put everything back. And as I've said in pretty much any organization project I've ever done on here, it is trial and error as you put things back. I kind of laid it out on the island, but then once I actually start putting stuff in, I realize how I may need to shift things, put something in a different position to make everything fit really well. And I'm not going to lie, this was one of the projects where halfway through, when the island was completely cluttered up with all of the items, I had that moment of regret. Like, what did I get myself into? I really wish that I did not start this, but I am so happy that I pushed through and I finished it, because it is just such a great transformation. So here's a reminder of before, such a cluttered mess, and here's the after, so much more organized, so much neater, less stuff packed in there, and I'm just so grateful and proud of myself that I got this done. Now, moving on to the next room we are going to clean is Louis' playpen area. wow, did this become a disaster. You could just see that there's toys everywhere. He had a shirt in there. He's also in the stage where he likes to pick apart the, like, what are these called? Puzzle pieces kind of this mat that he has, which is so adorable. And I'm so glad that he's starting to work on that skill of like picking the pieces up and everything. But I did want to do a little bit of a reset, put everything back. I couldn't figure out where the pieces for this little chicken one went, but finally we got that. So it was almost like a puzzle for me putting it all back together. Alrighty, now this was another one of the decluttering projects that I knew exactly what we were going to be doing. Tim and I had been talking the day before when we were like Bluey was playing in here, and we're like, wow, he's got so many toys in here. I feel like it's almost overwhelming for him because there's just so many things. He would start playing with one and then so quickly get distracted and grab something else. So we decided it was time to store away some of the toys that he isn't reaching for as often, and that way he can hopefully appreciate and really play with some of the other toys a little bit more and help with his imagination and everything. So that's what I'm doing here. It was so sad to put certain toys away because I love literally everything that he has, but I also reminded myself that in a little bit of time we can go back and swap out some of the toys. I've talked plenty before about how I want to do the rotation method. So these were the toys I decided we are going to store away for a little bit, and that instantly made the whole play area so much neater and so much more tidy looking.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever.
So earlier today, I got to meet up with 3 of my closest friends. We've all known each other since like elementary school, middle school, and we are all now moms. One of my friends has 2 kids, and then my other 2 friends just had their first kids within the past year, one within the past 2 months actually. And it was just so nice to get to spend a whole afternoon with them. We left the babies at home, which we love our babies more than anything in this world, but it was so nice to have some girl time and just get to catch up with them. We went to Chili's, and then we were there for like 2.5 hours and just talking and catching up, and then we went to TJ Maxx, which was really fun. So it was like such a perfect afternoon. I'm sure we can all relate to this to some extent, but maintaining adult friendships can be really difficult when there's work involved and kids and family and life and responsibilities. Maybe you don't live as close to your friends as you once did. I mean, I now live an hour away from them, which my husband and I are looking for a house, which will be much closer to where they all are. So I can't wait for that and being able to see them more regularly. So hopefully that happens sooner than later, and more to come on that. But as a reminder, here's the before of what Louie's play area looked like, and here's the after, so much neater. And I'm so happy there's less toys in here because I think it's really going to help him use his imagination and appreciate the toys that he does have. He's also definitely in his mobile stage. He loves playing in that ball pit. He loves climbing on these little blocks. So I'm really happy with all of that. But now let's head over to the bathroom. First, I am picking up a couple of the random things that were on the counter there and moving everything off of the shelf or off of the counter because we are going to be doing a little bit of a deeper clean. A little hack here, especially if your bathroom is on, like if you have a second floor, keep a little basket with some cleaning supplies in the bathroom itself, and you're going to be way more likely to clean it because how many times are you up there and you're like, yeah, this could use a clean, but you don't want to have to go downstairs and get the cleaning supplies. So you're like, I'll do it later. If you just have it all in a little container right there, it's super easy. And I think this took me like 15 minutes to do the whole bathroom. And I'm just really grateful that we got it done. So first I'm doing a clean of the toilet, and then we're going to do the tub as well. When I was at TJ Maxx today, I got Louie this massive duck, and I cannot wait to have him play with it in bath time. I'm curious if you have kids, when did your kids start to really like play with toys during bath time. Louis loves those little boats. They'll kind of float by him, and he does love his little rubber ducky. It's the small one that is like tells the temperature of the water, which is why I thought the big one will be really fun for him. Oh, and that's the other question that I had, just because my friend and I were actually talking about it at lunch today. She has a son who is about a month older than Louis, and she was saying how he's still in a little bath seat, but she's thinking about getting him a mat, like one of those friction mats that he can sit on to help him so he's not sliding around. But one, he has a little bit more mobile room in the bathtub, and then she can also, like, it's easier to clean him. But I'm curious, if you have a child, how old was your baby when you switched from the seat to the mat? Obviously, with either one, they are never left alone unattended, like eyes on them 100% of the time, but I'm curious, let me know. Okay, so for the bathrooms declutter project, I didn't realize how many products we had in the bathtub that were completely used up and ready to be discarded. So I laid everything out on the bathroom counter, and then I'm just going through picking up the items that are empty that we no longer use and can get rid of, and then we can go ahead and add everything back. And thankfully, since Tim had used up his shampoo, we did have a refill underneath the sink, so I grabbed that and we can add that back into the shower as well. These are the little boats that Louis loves to play with, and they were still a little bit damp, so I didn't want to, I wanted to let them kind of dry, so that's why I layered them out like that. And then once that was done, it was time to go finish cleaning up the toilet. A little tip here, after you use the toilet bowl cleaner thing, or like the little wand, just stick it underneath the lid, and that will let it dry out. And then I'm wiping down the counter, wiping down the mirror, and the bathroom is clean. And this, again, feels like such a breath of fresh air to have a clean bathroom. The only thing we didn't do today was mop, but we will be doing that soon in another video. Alrighty, now moving on to the bedroom. The first thing that we're going to be tackling is all of the clothes. Actually, that's not true. I had a bathrobe, like towel robe, which, side note, if you don't have a towel robe, I highly recommend. It is the most like luxurious thing to get out of the bath and not have to just wrap a towel around you, but to put a full-on towel robe on. Highly, highly recommend. It's one of the little luxuries in life that I am just a huge fan of. But then I am making the bed. I still haven't brought back our decorative throw pillows. I do want to do that eventually, but I'm going to be completely honest. After we had Louis, it was like, I don't want any extra little task that I don't absolutely need on my plate. And the task of having to put back, fluff up, rearrange throw pillows in the morning was one of the items that was taken off my to-do list. I am very excited at some point to bring those back, just because I think that they look really nice and make my room feel cozy, but I just haven't gotten there yet. So that's to come, but I am also taking all the dirty clothes that were on the floor and popping those into the laundry basket so I can bring them downstairs. I'll be honest, since I had Louis, I rarely go shopping for myself anymore. I mean, clothes, I rarely buy, even home decor. I feel like, well, especially since I've been on this declutter journey, I've really been trying to not add more stuff to our home, with the exception of baby products. That's like really where I have been spending the most money. Obviously, I guess that makes sense. But the day before this, I had actually gone to TJ Maxx and I bought a whole bunch of fun spring and summer clothes that I'm so excited about. And so that was me kind of taking the tags off. There was also a handful of stuff that when I got home and tried it on, I decided was going to be returned. So this bag is going to go downstairs so I can take that and return it. This is such a random story, but I feel the need that I really need to share this. And what made me think of it is that brown sweater on the bed is the sweater I was wearing when this event happened. And it still blows my mind that this actually occurred. I'm curious if anybody else has ever been in a similar situation. So while we fold some laundry, I thought we could do a story time. So set the scene. Tim and I and Louis are out to dinner with one of our other couple friends. We're sitting in a booth. Louis is in his high chair. I'm sitting on the outside of the booth so I can be next to Louis. And the first thing that I thought was a little odd is when our waiter came over, he was greeting greeting us and Louis had his hands on the table, the waiter kind of put his hand on Louis's hand and was like, oh, he's so cute, and like touching his hand, which like I get it's innocent, whatever, but also get your hands off my baby. I don't know. I'm honestly shocked at how many people think it's okay to just go and touch somebody's baby that they've literally, like, they don't know them. That's happened to me in grocery stores and lines, and it just blows my mind. But anyways, that wasn't what really got to me. So fast forward to the middle of our dinner, Louis had gotten a little bit fussy and he wanted to be held. So I was holding him on my side, side that was facing out of the booth. And the waiter comes over and he's like, oh, he's so cute again. I mean, he said that, he's not wrong there. But this is when it got really, really weird and inappropriate in my opinion. So actually, I think everyone would agree, but he puts his hands like under Louis's arms as if he was gonna like trying to pick him up. He wasn't touching him at this point, but he had his hands there and he's like, oh, he wants to come with me. He's my buddy. And I just kind of looked at him and I was like, oh, like laughing. I don't know. I'm not a very confrontational person. It was just all happened so fast. And I was like, oh, haha. And then he actually put his hands under Louis's arm. So he was touching Louis and me. And with force, not a lot of force, but like actively trying to pull Louis out of my arms. And he kept saying, no, he's my bud. He wants to come walk around with me. He wants to come. He's my bud. I would guess he was in like his late 30s, early 40s. I don't know. That's my guess. And again, I should have just said no, but that like awkwardness and it all happened so quickly really took over for me. So I was like, oh, if I give him to you, like he'll start crying. He doesn't like strangers. This man looks at me and goes, oh, that's okay, I don't mind, and continues to try and take Louis out of my arms. And I finally just look at him and I go, no. And like I started to get a little bit more of an attitude, which again, I should have had from the very beginning, but it just all happened so fast and really, really took me off guard. I'm like shaking just thinking about that this happened. Now, do I think Louis was actually in any real danger? No. My guess of what would have happened if I let go of him was this guy would have just like walked him around the restaurant or maybe stood there and held him like, oh, look, it's so cute. It's so fun. I do think that it was an innocent, like he didn't have any bad intentions, but also so wildly inappropriate and so insane that he thought that that was okay to do. It all just happened so fast that it like took a second to process it after it happened. And even Tim was like, I couldn't even tell that his hands were actually touching Louis because like the angle that we were at, he just thought he was asking to. And then I was like, no, his hands were literally on Louis, and Tim's jaw dropped. And I think the whole thing was just such a uncomfortable situation, but I did learn from it that from the very beginning, I shouldn't feel awkward. If somebody does something that makes me uncomfortable, from now on, I'm just going to say, no, that's not okay, and move on from there. Alrighty, after that long story time, let's move on to our declutter project for the bedroom. For this room, we are tackling my bathing suits. I'm actually going on a trip to Florida at the end of April. I'm so excited. I'm going with my mom, my stepdad, my sister, and of course, Louis. And I can't wait. So I wanted to go through my bathing suits to figure out what I have that I actually will want to wear. Everything that I'm throwing closer to the basket is stuff that I'm going to be donating. It's just, I really do love all my bathing suits, but so many of them I never wear. And as you can tell, I have a ton that I don't need that many. And also, as you can tell, Louis was not in the mood to be put down, so he is joining us for this project, and I was holding him as I was doing it, which, being a mom, you get really good at doing things one-handed, that's for sure. So I put all the bathing suits that I'm keeping back in the drawer. This is my bag that I keep in my closet of clothes that I'm decluttering, that I'm going to be donating, and that's a little tip, to keep a basket or a bag in your closet that is specifically for clothes you are going to donate, and that way, whenever you're getting ready in the morning, if you find a shirt or a pair of pants or something that you're like, you know what, I think I can donate this, pop it in that bag, and then once the bag is full, if you haven't thought about any of the items that are in it, since it was put there, you just take it, donate it, and it's an easy way to kind of continuously be decluttering. And now moving on, we are going to be cleaning up and decluttering an area in my son Louis' nursery. So starting off, there were just a bunch of toys and I needed to kind of rearrange the bookshelf, his little play mat over here. And so we're tackling that first, and then we'll go ahead and work on the declutter project. So for the declutter project in here, we are going to be tackling this little cart that has just attracted so much stuff. And so I want to go through that. Also here, if you can see, I don't know if you can tell, I was literally tearing up singing to Louis. He was in his crib watching me. And it's little moments like these that I just am filled with more joy than I literally ever thought possible. And he was watching me smiling. It was just, we were listening to Taylor Swift, I think the song Opalite in that moment. It was a lot of fun. But like I said, this cart had just collected so many random things that shouldn't actually be there. So I was going through, there was like some bottles and stuff that needed to be brought back downstairs. Some of the items needed to go in the dresser drawer. So I was just kind of rearranging, and it just looks so much nicer and neater now that it's not as stuffed packed. I will say once we organize, like declutter and organize his nursery closet in an upcoming video, I know I've been talking about that forever, but it will happen, I promise, that this is probably going to have more stuff on it. But for right now, it just has a couple of things that I am like easy to grab, and it works really well. So now that Louis is climbing up on the crib anytime he goes in there pretty much, I decided it was time to remove the mobile. He doesn't really ever look at it. He doesn't seem to find it as interesting. And when he does play with it, he'll actually try and like stand up and pull on it. And that makes me nervous that it could like snap back and hurt him or something. So it was time to remove that. Also, if you see, his baby monitor is now on my tripod outside of the crib. That is because while I used to have it stuck on the crib itself with a command strip, he decided it was going to be a really fun game to climb himself up there, walk over, and knock the camera over. He did that so many times that I was finally like, okay, this cannot be attached to the crib anymore. So I do want to get an actual stand, but for right now I'm just using one of my tripods to hold it up so he can't get to it. It's just so funny, the things that babies do and find hilarious. So that is why that is not attached to the crib anymore. Oh, I did have one more question that I'm curious for any of you parents out there. Where is your favorite place to buy cute baby boy clothes? I really like Target. I also really like Carter's. You can actually get a lot of Carter stuff at Target. I have found that I don't love the stuff at TJ Maxx as much anymore. I feel like they have such cute girl clothes, but it's rare that I find super adorable, like nice quality boy clothes there. So I'm curious if you have found places that have really high quality, but like also kind of affordable. So a mesh there of really cute boy clothes, please let me know, because now that he's getting a little bit older, I want to start dressing him in cute outfits, and I find it so much fun, and I'm excited for that. So let me know. And welcome to another decluttering, organizing, cleaning video. Today we are decluttering and reorganizing my son's closet, which very much so needed. He's 9 months, and over the 9 months it has just been continuously stuffed with stuff. I also have some other random little cleaning tasks to do. We're going to be doing a fun update in my home office for my work from home job. Grab yourself a fun drink, some water, some coffee, whatever you're in the mood for, and let's be productive together. All right, we're jumping right in today to start off with my son's closet. This is a project I've been putting off for the longest time. If you've seen my videos before, you're like, yeah, Kat, we've heard you talk about how this needs to get done a bajillion times, but the day is finally here that we are going to be tackling it. As you can see, I couldn't even fully open the door, and I actually I didn't fully break it because I was able to fix it, but it came off the hinge because there was just so much stuff. So whatever you're getting done today, whether you're feeling super motivated and excited, or maybe you're tired and you really have to push yourself to get going, I'll be honest with you, that is how I was feeling while doing this project. I had finished work for the day. It was a long day. I really just wanted to lie on the couch, but I knew that this was going to make me feel so good once I finished. So we are getting to work, and I'm really glad that I can be a friend and keep you motivated as you get your stuff done as well. Now, I've been on a journey to try and declutter as much as I can from my home and get rid of anything that we're not actually using. Every once in a while, though, there is a small exception, like this photo frame, for example. I don't have anywhere to put it in Louie's nursery right now, but the frame matches perfectly with the rest of the frames that I have in the room. So I really do want to save it because when we do move, hopefully sooner than later, I feel like there's a strong possibility I'll want to put it up in that room that he has or anywhere in our home. It's a nice frame. It actually is the frame that my sister-in-law used for my baby shower sign at my baby showers. And also, photo frames are not cheap. They are a little bit more of an expensive item. So I know that it's a nice frame. I know I may want to use it. So to me, it is worth it to store a little bit longer. And then if when we do move and I don't end up putting it anywhere, that is when I'll say this can go and be donated. Without fail, anytime that I start a decluttering project that I've been putting off, I am relatively quickly feeling so grateful that I finally got started on it because it's never as bad as I thought it was going to be in my head. I mean, yes, you have to go through all the items. There's a lot of stuff. It, feels like the whole room gets worse before it gets better. However, the feeling that I get as I'm making progress is so motivating. And that is the feeling that I hold on to when I just don't want to get started. So remember that getting started is the hardest part and it always gets easier once you start to get into a rhythm. Now, this closet is obviously primarily Louie's. However, all the way to the left there is a lot of Tim and I stuff like jackets, coats, some of like the nicer dresses and Tim's suits and stuff. You can see at the bottom a whole bunch of his shoes. Now, we're not going to be going through all of the clothes on that side for right now. That's a task for another day. However, I did decide to go through this shoe rack that he has because I was like, there's definitely some shoes he does not need anymore. So here in a second, you'll see me and I'm like asking him which shoes I can get rid of. And thankfully there were a few. Now, this is definitely going to be a theme throughout the video or this decluttering project, and that is that don't always wait until you have time to do a complete project, start to finish, everything checked off in between until you get started. Now, what I mean by that is this closet, you'll see as we go through, it's definitely way, way better than when I first got started, but it's not 100% done at the end. I mean, it looks 100% done, but you'll see what I mean as we go through. There's certain areas that I am not tackling as in depth as I would like to. For example, the clothes all the way to the left there. But I think if I waited until I had enough time to sit down and go through every single inch of this closet and make sure everything is perfect, honestly, it would never get done. Partly because it's very rare that I have that much time in my day, but also that feels so much more overwhelming. So when it's a really big project like this, I recommend splitting it up into phases. And here we are doing phase 1 for this closet. And you'll see at the end, there's still a really great before and after transformations. You still get that like hit of dopamine to say like, wow, I see progress. There's a great transformation there. However, it doesn't feel as overwhelming and it's a lot more manageable to tackle. So you're way more likely to actually get started with whatever the project is. And for me, this method of working in phases made it actually possible that I was going to film this video, because if I had told myself that I could not start the closet until I had time to do the entire thing start to finish and everything checked off in between, I'll just say you wouldn't be watching this video right now. Alrighty, we're using this massive TJ Maxx bag to hold all of the things that we're going to be donating. So I was able to fill that up and then push that to the side, and we can start tackling the rest of the items here. So these piles were toys, books, and some things like that mobile that he doesn't really play with anymore that I want to put in storage, but not get rid of because, hopefully we'll have another baby in the future that we will be using that for. So I'm just kind of thinking about how I want to organize this right now. Now, part of what's great about doing a declutter project in phases is that as you're sorting through all the items, it gives you an idea of what organization bins or items you may need to store things. So for example, I realized I needed some way to better store these extra books that didn't fit on Louis' bookshelf, but I didn't have anything perfect for it. So I found this basket that we had laying around. This is definitely not the permanent solution that I want to have. However, it works great for right now, and I'm able to put the basket up on the top shelf. And now I know for phase 2 that one of the things I want to figure out is a better way to store the extra books. And I think this is a really, really great thing to remember. And one of the pros of doing a declutter project like this is that if I were to go and buy all these different organization bins and boxes and storage items or whatever beforehand that I think I might want to use, chances are it wouldn't end up they wouldn't all work as well as I thought for this space. But if I do an initial declutter and kind of temporary organize, then at the end we could do a audit, we'll call it, of the space and what areas could use a better organization method or storage item. And then I can, go out and find those items once I know exactly what I need. Now, I do like this hanging organizer. I've had it for years. I think, to be honest, I actually had this since college. This was in my dorm room. However, I don't know that it is going to stand the test of time in this closet because maybe it will. I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of sticking random things that don't have any other home in there, which I do think that's important to have a quote unquote junk drawer or junk area that you can just put stuff that doesn't belong anywhere else. However, it also attracts a lot of stuff. And I know realistically in day-to-day life, that's where things end up getting shoved because it's really easy to just throw stuff in there. So I do feel like I may try and find a better organization method in phase 2, but we'll see when we get there. Now, I'm curious how you store your baby's clothes. I'll be honest, the vast majority of his clothes are in his dresser, but there are a few things that I like to hang up that are easier to hang up, or some of his outfit sets I'll have together on a hanger. But for the most part, I find it so much easier to just store everything in the dresser. But I'm curious what method you use for that. Okay, so when it comes to Louis' toys, I've talked before how I like to do a rotation method, or that's kind of my plan moving forward. And so I have this bin from, I think one of my previous videos, we had taken a bunch of toys from his playpen downstairs and put it in here for storage. However, something that I did not think about until this exact moment, while I was filming, is that I'm going to need 2 bins. Well, one, because this is going to get filled up pretty quickly, but also to separate out his baby clothes or baby toys that, he's not ever going to really want to go back to probably, but we want to have for another baby hopefully in the future, and then the toys that are actually going to be part of this rotation method as he gets older and things that he will probably want to play with again, but I just don't have them out at the moment. So for right now, I am just stuffing everything in this one bin because that is all that I have. But an organization task that we have on our to-do list for phase 2 is going to be separating out the toys that he has grown out of and doesn't really have interest in anymore from the toys that he will still want to go back to every so often and will be part of the rotation system. Now, there are still a handful of things we're going to be working on in this closet within this video, but for this exact moment, I had decided that I was done and I needed a little bit of rest. So here we are the next morning, and we are going to be taking a little bit of a break from the closet, doing a few other tasks, and then later in this video, we'll go back and finish up Louis' closet. Now, for the first task of the day, I'm so darn excited. I got a new monitor for my full-time job, and so here we're going to unbox and set it up, but of course, first we had to remove my now old monitor, which I will bring back back to my office. But if you didn't know, I do work a full-time job completely remote from home. I've been at the company for, a while actually, since I got out of college. I do learning content development and management for a clinical trials company. It's funny because when I was in college, I majored in communications. I never would have expected myself to land in this field. I don't even know if I fully would have understood what a clinical trial was when I was still in college. I actually started at the company as a marketing intern, and then when I graduated college, I was offered a position in the operations side, and I've been there ever since. I've had so many opportunities to grow, which is I'm just so grateful for. Pre-March of 2020, I did go into the office full time, and I'm not gonna lie, there are moments where I really miss that era of my life. I had a really close-knit group of friends that I saw every day, and it was like a lot of fun going to work. I enjoy the work that I do. I loved the people that I saw. And so while there are definitely times where I do miss going into an office and that social interaction piece of it, at this point in my life, I would not trade it, and I'm so grateful to be working from home. Definitely would not be able to do it if I didn't have help during the day. We have a nanny who comes some days during the week, and then my mom does the other days, and there have been times where they both were not able to come, and wow, was that difficult. My boss was super understanding and aware of the situation, so that was fine, but I definitely couldn't do it without help. So I'm very grateful for the setup, and I'm so excited about this new monitor. It's like getting me excited for Monday to start work again. But now let's head up to the bedroom because we have a ton of laundry to fold. Actually, it's not that bad. I say that, but then as I'm looking at it, I feel like this is a pretty normal amount of laundry. So let's get to folding. All right, raise your hand if you don't enjoy folding laundry. I'm currently raising my hand, like literally my hand is up in the air right now. If you also don't like folding laundry, my number one tip to you is habit stack. Pick a show that you really love. For example, I just found that there was a new season of Love Island Australia I hadn't seen yet, the newest one, and so that is my new laundry show. And tell yourself that you can only watch that show while you're folding laundry. Now, this may be easier said than done because, maybe it's later that night and you have some time and you just want to watch your show, and that's fine. But the point is that when you are doing whatever that task is that you don't enjoy doing, if you start to associate it with watching a specific show, or maybe it's a specific creator on YouTube that you really like their videos and you watch their videos every time that you're doing that task, it starts to switch it in your brain. So you associate the task with the fun video or show that you're watching, and you actually get excited for it, and you will start to associate the task with more of an enjoyable, good feeling. Alrighty, we are back in the nursery because it is time to finish off the closet organization, decluttering, this whole project, phase one. Now starting off, I have this bin here that I had been throwing all of Louis' clothes that don't fit him anymore into. There's also some blankets and stuff like that in there. And initially I was going to sort through all of this and reorganize everything. Then I realized I don't have the method that I want to store them in yet. Like I feel like I need to get some sort of a bin system or baby clothes system so I can organize out, his newborn outfits from the 0 to 3 months, from the 3 to 6 months, so on and so forth. So then my plan changed to I was going to sort through all the clothes, categorize them by size, and then put them back in that basket, but grouped together with like size items. And that way, in theory, it would be easier when I go to restore everything and organize it because they're already somewhat in their sections. And while yes, that is true, it would save me a little bit of time. Realistically, I still was kind of doing the work twice because I know that when I go to reorganize it, I'm still going to look at every item to see what size it is. So I'm really not saving myself that much time. So I decided to just put everything back in the bin. However, there were a lot of blankets and some burp cloths, extra burp cloths that I realized we really don't need because we have plenty. So I decided that I was going to put some of those items in this plastic bag so that I can bring that to the donation center.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
I'll be honest with you, I was not able to get myself to declutter any of his baby outfits. I mean, one, hopefully we have another baby in the future and he or she will wear the same clothes, but even outfits that weren't my favorite, I'm not ready. I'm typically really good with parting with items, even if there's sentimental value there, but when it comes to Louis' baby clothes, I'm not there yet. So we did get rid of a lot of blankets and extra burp cloths though that I know have just been sitting in there for months, so clearly we don't need them. Now, as you'll see, I did play around a little bit with how I was going to organize everything within the closet. This gray basket is Louis' actual laundry bin that we use. And at first I thought having it on top of the other bin would be nice because it's just, a little bit higher up, but I didn't like the way that looked. It made the closet feel a little bit more cluttered. So we rearranged it back to my initial thought. The basket is on the floor, but that's fine. And then I just had a few other items to hang up. Now, I will say these little wooden organizers that say like 6 to 9 months, 12 to 18 months, I haven't found that I like them as much as I thought I would. Now, I'm sure that if I was hanging up all of his clothes, including the ones that he outgrew and stuff that he didn't fit into yet as storage, like that was how I stored my clothes to hang them in the closet, these would be very, very helpful. But since the only clothes I have hanging are stuff that actually fit him and he wears, I find it's much more practical to organize them by style than by specific size. Alrighty, now here's a reminder of what the before looked like pre-phase 1 closet, and here is the after. Oh my gosh, that transformation makes me so happy. It just so much less cluttered. Everything is organized. So much stuff has been removed and put in the donation bin. No, it is not the most aesthetically pleasing closet. I know that, but it is practical. I still think that it looks pretty nice. So I'm so happy that we got this done. And I'm also so excited for phase 2. Make sure if you're not already subscribed, you subscribe. That way you are notified when that video comes out. Alrighty, welcome to episode 8 of Decluttering My Entire Home with Me. Today we are tackling my closet. This is the closet I share with my husband, and as you can see, we have both accumulated a ton of clothes, so it was time to declutter. I can't wait to show you the before and afters. Incredibly satisfying, and the amount of garbage bags full of clothes that we are going to be bringing to donations makes me so happy. But the first step was to remove everything from the floor because, as you can see, we literally couldn't even move in here. We had a bunch of overnight bags and stuff that don't belong in this closet, and then these bags, one is actually garbage and the other is a donation bag that I had already started adding clothes to. So I removed all of that, and then we can start removing some of my husband's clothes. We're going to start with all of his shirts, which, as you can see from this, they really had accumulated. So take all of those out and then we can start sorting through them. Looking at the clips of before and then knowing how much more clean and organized everything is after, I don't know why it took me so long to get started. I mean, I do, because it just felt overwhelming to have to deal with. But I will say that this is what happens when you just have too much stuff. The best way to keep a space organized is to not let too much stuff be in the space. And I find that when we have too much stuff, not only does it visually not look very appealing and it just looks cluttered and messy, but it also makes it harder to find what you need. I mean, there were so many items of clothing that Tim was like, oh, this is where that was. And I was looking for this shirt or these pants. And that happens for me all the time when I'm decluttering a space, that I find items and I'm like, oh, this is where that was. So there truly are just so many benefits to decluttering. Also, I don't know if you can hear that, Louis in the background making noises. Him and Tim are in the playroom playing, and he's very talkative. He's a very talkative 9-month-old, I have to say. Now, as you know, for myself, I'm somebody who likes to do pretty frequent declutters, which is why while we do declutter a handful of stuff from my clothes later in the video, we are definitely getting rid of way more of Tim's stuff. And that's just because he's not somebody to typically go through and do big declutters very often. So it had been a really long time. He had accumulated a ton of stuff, which actually kind of made it more satisfying to tackle his stuff because it's such a drastic difference between the before and after, and it made it a lot of fun. But I think regardless of if you do a really big declutter every once in a while or you add in more frequent ones, figure out what decluttering routine works best for you in your life, because one of the most important things in keeping a consistently clean home is maintaining the stuff in your home and making sure that it doesn't become overflowing, because that's when it becomes like almost impossible to keep your home clean. This pretty much anytime we do a declutter project, but I really want to emphasize it here because I cannot tell you how long I've been putting off this closet declutter and knowing that I want to go through and do it and obviously film it, but the process felt so daunting and like it was going to take me forever. It was going to be so stressful. But once I actually started, I just grabbed the clothes, put them on the floor, started sorting them into piles. I realized once again that, I don't know how many times I need to learn this lesson for it to really click, but it really wasn't that bad once I got started, and it actually became kind of enjoyable. Tim was downstairs playing with Louis, so I was able to just solely focus on the closet and the clothes, and almost like, as a mom where I never really have any me time, although this isn't necessarily me time, in a sense it felt like it because I was watching my show, which is Love Island. I was getting myself in the zone, which is kind of therapeutic for me. So just remember that no matter how much you don't want to do a task, the hardest part is almost always starting, and once you get going, you're going to build up momentum and it's going to become so much easier. And now we're at the point where Tim was able to come in and start sorting through the clothes and deciding what he wanted to keep and what he didn't. The pile by the mirror is donations, and it just makes me so happy and satisfied to see it continuously grow. At one point, Tim picked up a shirt and he's like, well, you had got me this. I don't really wear it, but you got it for me. It's got like a special memory. I was like, nope, just let it go. We don't. I don't care about any sentimental stuff here. If you don't actually wear the item of clothing, put it in donations. And I think the easiest mindset switch that has helped me to get rid of clothes, if I'm keeping them solely because of a sentimental reason, I'd much rather it be given to somebody who's actually going to wear it and it's going to get life out of it again than just sit stored up in a box in my closet that I never actually look at or touch. So grateful that I've reached the point that for the most part, I'm not going to keep an item just because somebody gave it to me if I don't actually wear it or get any use out of it. Okay, at this point, I decided I really needed a little bit of a pick-me-up, so we made an iced Americano. I just do 1 shot of espresso, which I find is the perfect amount of caffeine, and then I add water and some half and half, and it's my everyday afternoon coffee, and I get so excited for it. Anyways, now it is time to go through all of the clothes that Tim is wanting to keep, and I'm sorting them into piles before we put them back in the closet. That way I have an idea of where I want them to be and what the piles are going to be and everything, so I'm folding them up now, and then we'll start putting them in the closet.
You're crazy for saying I should slow down, but maybe I'm escaping the love we found. There's something about you I like, about you I like. I get too drunk and too scared and lie to you. If only you knew I would die for you. One of us gotta say the obvious. Nobody loves me better. Nobody loves me better. Nobody loves me better.
I'm so excited to show you the before and afters. It is so incredibly satisfying. But now that we got all of his shirts back in, it is time to tackle his pants, which, as you can see, again, so many he had accumulated over the years. There would be times where he would fold them and they'd be put neatly in this shelf, but then because there were just so many, it was legitimately impossible to keep it organized. So that's why it's finally time to do a big declutter. And that is hands down my number one tip to continuously keeping your home organized. You need to not have a ton of stuff. So that's why I find decluttering so important and so helpful. And it's definitely a continuous process where, in life, we tend to accumulate more stuff, and that's totally fine. But every once in a while, going through and kind of resetting a space is really, really important. And for his pants, we're doing the same thing as with the shirts. I'm just laying everything out into piles so that he can go through and decide what to keep and what to donate. And on the bed, we are also going to be doing his sweatshirts so that he can tackle that as well. Alrighty, so all the pants and sweatshirts have been put into piles. They're ready for Tim to come take a look. But first, I'm just cleaning off the closet floor. As you can see, there were some random things that had fallen, some more sweatshirts and stuff that I had to grab, added to the piles. And then here's Tim going through the pants. Now, you may probably be able to tell his pants that he's currently wearing are pretty dirty. He was outside doing some yard work while I was getting the piles ready. So that's why there's stuff all over his pants. And you can see that pile in the corner. It just continues to grow of donations, and it makes me so, so happy. And again, once he finished his sort through, I'm just going through and organizing the items of clothing that he is keeping so that I know exactly how I want to put them back in the closet.
Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
Now you can see there's this vent underneath the bottom shelf in the closet, and I had never really realized just how dirty it was and how much dust had really been packed on there. I tried doing a little vacuum of it, but it just was not working. And although you can't see this, I really wanted to make sure that knowing that it's been deep cleaned is very important to me and just makes the closet feel a lot better to be in. So I ended up grabbing some disinfectant wipes and really scrubbing it, and that helped so much. I was amazed at how much dust and dirt came off of that. So now knowing that it's nice and clean under there is such a nice feeling. I don't really understand how dust accumulates on top of this shelf when it was so packed full of clothes. Like, it's not like any of the surface was shown to the air, but somehow there was still dust there. So I wiped that down, and then we are placing his sweatshirts and vests up there as well. And now it is time for my favorite part. We are bagging up all of the clothes for donations. Just look how satisfying this is. I cannot put into words how happy it made me to put all of these clothes in these bags, and knowing that we are getting rid of this much and giving it to people who will hopefully get a lot more use out of them. They'll be worn. Just brings me so much joy. These garbage bags were so darn heavy. This was me trying with all my might to lift them, and that was as high as I could get, given I haven't been to the gym in a while, but still, they were very heavy. And now is another day. We are going to be tackling my clothes today, which I'm so excited to do. Starting off on this back shelf, I had a whole bunch of clothes that had been stuffed into that corner, so I laid all that out on the bed so we could then go tackle it. Now, for these little bins, to be honest, there wasn't much in there. I've kept them pretty decluttered for the most part, so I didn't feel a need to take everything out. And I found it a lot easier to do whatever decluttering I had to just standing here in the closet. There were a few items that I decided I could donate for the long sleeve shirts, and then this shirt I decided to hang up instead of having the bin, but for other than that, I just kind of left them there. Now, as far as these bins go, I thought it was going to be helpful to come throw everything on the floor and start organizing them, because I know I kind of wanted to rethink what clothes were going to be in what bin, and I knew there was going to be some stuff that I was going to be able to put in the donation pile, which you can see is back by my nightstand. Now, when you're decluttering your clothes especially, I think it's really important to think about where you are in life right now. So for example, with my workout clothes, there were a lot of sports bras and tops that I never reach for anymore, but I like in my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe one day I'll wear this again. But then I kind of had to have that reality check with myself of like, I don't feel confident in this anymore. And if the day comes that I want something like it, I can always go get another one. But holding on to something that I never reach for because it doesn't make me feel my best when I wear it is just a waste of space. And I want to make sure that my closet is filled with clothes that I actually feel good in and I want to grab. So that mindset really helps me to declutter some of my workout tops and make sure that everything in those bins I'm actually feeling good in and want to wear. So I did end up rearranging the bins a little bit and moving stuff around, which again, anytime that you're doing an organization project, it's really trial and error and seeing what works with your space and what doesn't. And sometimes you lay everything out and you actually have to live with it for a little bit to see if that method actually works best for you in your day-to-day life. And remember that more bins and containers isn't always the best way to organize a space. I actually decided that for that second shelf all the way to the right, having no bin was better for those pants and gave me a little bit more room. So make sure that you play around with it and see what is really going to fit best in your space. And now I'm going through the shirts that I have over on this shelf or on this rack. And again, we are putting some of the donation piles, stuff that I never reach for, that I never want to wear. I'm just donating it, trying to be as ruthless as I can. And then knowing that everything that's still hanging up is stuff that I actually love and wear and will get a lot of use out of. Now for my sweaters, first I went through to see if there's any that I want to donate, and there really weren't because I actually did a declutter like that pretty recently. So I knew that pretty much all the sweaters in here I did want to keep. However, it was time to take out the sweaters that I am not going to be wearing in the warmer months, and that way I can put those into storage and then bring out my spring and summer clothes. Now for these longer sweaters and a couple dresses, there were actually a couple pieces that I decided to put into donations. That white dress is actually what I wore at my maternity shoot when I announced that I was pregnant. I mean, it wasn't anything fancy, but that was a really fun photo shoot Tim and I did. His mom actually took the photos for us, and I was so excited with how they came out. I can't believe that it's been over a year since then. Wow, how time flies. But there were a couple things there that I was able to donate. And now I'm just taking some of the clothes from the lower rack and moving them over to the taller rack and kind of rearranging where I want stuff in that regard. Here's to be all excited that we got another big pile of stuff to donate. Now, this is the donation bag that I was keeping in my closet, and anytime that I would take out an item of clothing and realize that I really don't wear it, I'd pop it in there. I think having a bin like that somewhere in your closet or your home is so beneficial, so you can just continuously add stuff to it. So we topped that donation bin off, and then we had another bag that we needed because there was just so much stuff, which makes me so happy. And then you'll see in a moment that it's going to be another day because it is time to take out all of my spring and summer clothes and start organizing those. And again, as we go through this, I do decide to put some stuff into a donations pile as well, which is that pile over by the pillows, dresses and clothes that I just every summer I think I'm going to wear and then I never do. So it's finally time to donate them. Now, I do want to say that along with donating all of these clothes, I have really made an effort to not buy as many clothes because that really would be kind of pointless, right? Yes, maybe I'd be getting rid of stuff, but if I'm just buying a ton of clothes to replace them with, my closet isn't actually getting any less cluttered. So that has been a little bit of a change that I have to say I'm really proud of myself. I have not done a lot of off the whim. There's a word for it. Off the whim. Why can't I think about it? Like last minute quick purchases that I don't actually need. Impulse. That's what it is. I haven't done a lot of impulse purchasing when it comes to clothes in a while, which I'm really proud of myself for. And don't get me wrong, I definitely still buy new clothes for myself, but I'm a lot more intentional with what I'm purchasing. And if I find that I always want a certain kind of jean or a certain type of a top, but I don't have it in my closet, that's when I'll let myself go search for a nice quality piece of that clothing or shoes or whatever it is, and something that I'll feel good in and will stand the test of time as far as quality and stuff, and I'll feel good about adding it to my closet. But I've really limited those kind of like fast fashion items that I grab and I wear once and then I never touch again, and they just take up room. So now while I put hangers on all of the clothes that we're going to be putting back in my closet, I did just want to mention, and I'm curious if this is something that you were wondering, let me know in the comments, but if you were curious as to why my husband has no hanging space in our closet, he does have a lot of shirts that need to be hung up, like button downs and things like that, but we have a different closet in the house that he uses for that, and that's not something that we're going through in the video, but I just wanted to mention in case anybody was like, why didn't you give him any hanging space? He has it, it's just in a different closet. Alrighty, so at this point, I realized that I did not have any more hangers. That's not correct, actually. In another closet, I had a ton of extra hangers, but I decided to use this as a little motivation way to get myself to declutter even more items. And I told myself that however many hangers I had left here in this pile, those were the only hangers I could use. And if I wanted to continue hanging stuff up, I had to get rid of some other stuff that I had to put in the hanging up pile. And going through it, I knew that there were some clothes that I had in those piles that I wasn't actually probably ever going to wear, but I was kind of in that mindset of like, well, I really like it and I might have an event. And that was like, Kat, nope, we're going to nip that in the butt or bud, I don't know, whatever the saying is, and get rid of these items that I know I'm probably never going to reach for realistically. And so I was really happy that that helped me to declutter even more items. And then it was finally time to hang up everything back in the closet. And this felt so good to see everything hanging, aside from the fact that it's like nice and decluttered now, except for my sweatshirts above me, which we're going to talk about in a second. But also it was just exciting to finally have all my spring and summer clothes out, because the weather here in New England is finally getting nicer. And it's just really exciting to be able to start grabbing for dresses and short sleeve shirts more often. So very excited about that.
I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling just loving this moment.
And the final spot in this closet that we are going to be decluttering that we really needed some attention is my sweatshirts. You can see, I just had so many that accumulated. I feel like not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, we had actually decluttered my sweatshirts, but you know, like I said, it's a continuous process. So that had kind of become cluttered again. So I'm going through and being a little bit more ruthless with which sweatshirts we're going to be getting rid of, because like I said, the more stuff you have, the harder it is to keep it organized. And there's no way that I'm actually wearing that many sweatshirts. I just don't need them. So we have more stuff to add to the donation bin, and some of the sweaters I actually decided to hang up as well. So that also helped to make this shelf a little bit more neat.
Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
I did a little bit of last minute rearranging and moved some of those smaller tank tops and going out-esque shirts that I don't wear as often. I mean, I still wear them, but not reaching for them on an everyday basis, down to the lower shelf. And then the different sweaters and cardigans that I'm reaching for pretty much every single day, I moved up to the top shelf. And it is finally time to do the before and afters. These are so satisfying to me. I just can't believe how much progress we made in just 3 days of going through this closet, how much stuff we were able to move to the donations bin and are going to be getting rid of, and hopefully people who will wear them more often, they're going to go to a more loving home where they're actually going to be used. And now Tim and I have this super decluttered and organized closet, which just feels so much better to walk into and pick out an outfit for the day. So I'm really, really grateful. And if you watched until this part, I would love for you to let me know, what were you tackling while you watched this video? Or are you just enjoying and getting some motivation, entertainment from it? Hopefully, let me know. If you are still getting stuff done and you want to continue to be productive together, I will have my entire decluttering and organizing playlists linked below, as well as my Clean With Me playlists. And I'm so grateful that you're here. I hope you got a lot of motivation from this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new. Alrighty, let's hop into the first declutter and organization project of the video, and welcome to episode 9 of my Decluttering My Entire Home series. Today we're tackling 3 areas and starting off with this bathroom cabinet, which has, as you can see, become a complete cluttered mess, which I wish I had $1 for every time that I said that phrase, because I'd have a lot of dollars by now. But the first thing that we're doing, per usual, is removing everything from the cabinet. This is another one of those projects that I've been putting off because I thought it was going to take me so much longer than it actually did. Although something that made it a lot more fun and go a lot faster is that Tim, my husband, was giving our son Louis a bath as I was organizing this. So you can see me talking to him, asking if we need certain things or if he wants to keep it. A lot of the stuff, I'll be honest, was expired medicines and products and things like that from literally, some were literally like 10 years old. I don't know how we continued to hold on to that. Also, these were some pregnancy tests from when I found out I was pregnant with Louis. And at first I was like, oh, I'll keep these, eventually we're going to want to try for baby number 2, but I looked and those had also expired. And I don't know, let me know if you've taken an expired pregnancy test, but I feel like I wouldn't trust it and I would just end up buying more anyways. So I decided that we could get rid of those. I think I just decided for this video, we're going to title it Throwing Everything Out, because although some of the other organization projects, we're not throwing everything out. In one of them, we are throwing some stuff out. And clearly in this one, a lot of it is being thrown out. You can see that garbage bag, which honestly does make me upset. Like, I do not like throwing stuff out that still has product in it, like a lot of those medicines and stuff. But the reality is, I'm probably not going to use an expired medicine. I'm somebody who doesn't really like to use medicine unless it's absolutely necessary anyways. So if I am using it, I want to use something that is not expired. A lot of them were prescription medicines that never got finished and never going to use it. Obviously, I'm not going to donate it because not that kind of self-explanatory, but if I know that I'm not going to use this product and it's just going to sit there because I feel guilty getting rid of it, that also is not helping anybody and it's just adding more clutter to my home. So I do think that in some instances, it's better to just throw stuff out. If you can, always donate it, is my opinion. But if it can't do anybody else any good, it can't do you any good, sometimes you just got to say, it's time to let it go and toss it in the garbage. Now, I got a comment on one of my last organization videos that I really wanted to read and talk a little bit about because I totally get what this person is saying. And to summarize the comment, it was basically saying that you shouldn't be happy about donating stuff, but instead it should really make you think about your consumption habits and trying to not buy as much and not add as much, because donation centers tend to be just completely filled and a lot of the stuff ends up being thrown out anyways. And I totally agree with that. If you're just decluttering but then continuing to buy more stuff, you're just continuing the problem. It's not, your home is going to stay cluttered. Right now, as I've talked about, I'm kind of in a major declutter stage in my home. My husband and I are looking to buy a house, so hopefully we're going to be moving in the relatively near future. And when that happens, I only want to take stuff with us that's really that we really use and adds value to our life. So I'm really focused on decluttering more than I ever have before in my life, which is why there's so much stuff going out. But along with that, I'm also really trying to change up my consumption habits, just like the comment said. Now, that's not to say to never buy anything. I mean, I would definitely not consider myself a minimalist, but I have really started to think very hard before I purchase something and add it into my home. I also love the one in, one out rule. I know that's not always practical. You buy a shirt, you get rid of a shirt. It doesn't always work like that. However, if I'm going to the store to purchase something, it's going to be with intention. I've really cut out, I'd say like 95% of impulse purchases by just self-discipline, to be honest. It's not that simple because it is difficult to do, but it is that simple of an answer of if you use self-discipline to say, yeah, that shirt that I'm seeing at Target is cute, but before I came here, I didn't even know it existed. So I clearly didn't need it and I'm going to forget about it. I don't need it. There are going to be those times where you see something that you have been looking for and that's different. But I think impulse purchasing is one of the biggest ways that we add so much unnecessary clutter to our home. And if you can kind of nip that habit in the bud, but I don't know, I think I wasn't sure about that in my last video too, but whatever the saying is, that's really going to help you to maintain a clutter-free home and really make sure that all that effort you put into decluttering it doesn't just go out the window by adding more random stuff. Okay, so as you can see, we have really limited the amount of stuff that's going back in this cabinet, which I'm so excited for because I think the transformation is going to be great. Well, I've already seen it. It is great. But I am now going through and kind of cleaning out some of the containers that I have and playing around with what items I want to group together and put in what different containers. I've said this a bajillion times, but it's going to be a test and trial and error process when you're trying to organize a space and figuring out what containers work the best and what don't. One of my number one tips whenever you're going to be doing an organization project is I repeat, do not buy any containers until you have already tried organizing the items. Chances are, once you take everything out, sort it, organize where you want items to go, you're either going to find that the containers you already have will work just fine, like in my case, or you're going to realize that the containers you did buy aren't what you actually need and you come up with a better idea now that you've seen everything laid out and you've kind of sorted through it. So always wait until after you have decluttered the space and kind of laid out the organization methods you want, and then you can go out and buy the exact size containers you need, the exact number of containers, and it's going to make the whole process run so much more smoothly and help prevent more clutter, because otherwise you're just adding containers that you may not end up using. Now, I did do a quick clean out of these shelves, vacuumed them out and wiped them down, and then put those little rubber mats, whatever they're called, no slip mats, back on, and then we can go ahead and add everything back into it. Here's a live example of trial and error when trying to organize a space and realizing that this container was probably not the best for the space. However, I did have another one underneath my sink that was housing some stuff and I was able to swap them, and this one worked way better for this cabinet. So I adjusted that, added all of the products back into it. It's definitely kind of like a quote unquote junk basket because it's got random stuff in there, not completely random, but it's not like they are all, completely matching, but different products that you might need that you would typically store in a bathroom, and it's the perfect basket to house all of them. Okay, and now it is time for the before and afters. Here's a reminder of what the cabinet looked like before, and here is after. Oh my gosh, it just makes me so happy. It gives me such a serotonin rush or a dopamine rush. I'm actually not sure which is the correct one in this case. Let me know if you're aware. All I know is every time I've opened up this cabinet since finishing the decluttering and organizing is I just feel such a breath of fresh air, and I'm so happy. Now, moving on to our next organization project. This was the next morning. As you can see, I am having a much needed iced coffee. It was so delicious. Now, if you saw my last video, it was a complete extreme closet declutter and organize with me. And while we did do a ton in that video, something we didn't tackle was a few of these bins that we have in this cabinet drawer. I don't know what you would call this, but we are going to be tackling my jeans today, because this had also become a bin that I started to dread opening up because it was so stuffed to the brim. And again, there were so many in here that I just haven't been wearing. Not this pink pair though. I love this pink pair. I just got these from TJ Maxx. But the question I always go back to whenever I'm deciding if I should declutter something, especially for clothes, is if I didn't already own this item and I saw it in the store, would I buy it? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And that's a clear indicator that I can put it in the donation center or donation pile. Okay, now this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the decluttering and organizing of the video, but I do have a question for you. I think my channel over the years has kind of evolved, and ever since becoming a mom, I've really kind of found what I love and what fits really well into my life, and that I can create consistent content for you with, which is these cleaning, decluttering, organizing, kind of mom lifestyle videos. But I would love to know, what are the videos that you love the most? What are videos that you want to see that maybe I haven't been filming? Any other video ideas that you would like to see me post? And kind of along with that, are there any topics you want me to talk about in my voiceovers? I'd almost describe my videos as podcast-esque, where obviously, yes, on the screen, we're doing different decluttering, cleaning, organizing, home projects in general. But then I love just talking to you about different things that are going on in my life, about different tips I have, habits, routines, mindset tips. That's all stuff that I'm so passionate about. And I love that I can, add that into these videos, but then also give you motivation to get stuff done. And obviously, like I always say, we're being productive together. We're getting stuff done together. So I would just love your feedback and thoughts on what content you are really liking that I put out, and anything else that I'm not putting out that you would like to see more of. Alrighty, moving on to our next declutter and organization project. We're in Louie's nursery, and we're going to be tackling this drawer in his dresser. This drawer is pretty similar to the cabinets we did at the beginning of this video, just specifically stuff for Louie. So it's got his nail filer, cooling patches in case he gets a fever, things like that. Starting off, I'm just wiping down the dresser top, and then we're going to be taking everything out, sorting it into piles. Same process as always. Now, I have to say, I was telling my husband about this after we did some of these projects. I have found decluttering to be sort of addicting. It's getting to the point where there's things that I have to remind myself, okay, there probably is a time where I'm going to want this, so I shouldn't get rid of it. I think it's definitely a balance, and a lot of the things that I'm getting rid of, I think it's good to just toss on, whether it's throwing it out, donating it, depending on what the item is. It doesn't need to be in my home anymore, but it's I get this rush every time that I decide to get rid of something, oh my gosh, there's more free space in my home. I feel a little bit lighter. However, it is give and take, and I'm trying to be mindful that I'm not donating or getting rid of stuff that then, a month down the line, I'm going to have to go repurchase because I actually do need it. So just like everything in life, it's a balance. Now, when it comes to products that have not expired, but I never really reach for them, I do still want to get rid of them because, again, I don't want to keep them in my home if they're just taking up space and I'm never grabbing for them. However, that's not something I'm going to throw out. A lot of my makeup that I never really reach for anymore, I'll see if one of my sisters wants, and they typically do. Or for example, we have this Destin diaper cream that we never ended up using. We have a massive Aquaphor tube that we're slowly going through, but to be honest, Louie very rarely gets diaper rash, so we barely use it. And I I don't want to keep those Destin tubes in here, and then eventually they are going to expire and go to waste. So I'll see if any of my friends that have babies would use it. So all that to say, I think it's really important to be mindful when you're decluttering and make sure that you're not throwing something out that somebody might actually get use out of. Now, to move on to the actual organizing portion, these bamboo drawer dividers that I got from Amazon, I'm obsessed with. I have them in basically every single drawer in this dresser, and I was kind of playing around with using those containers to organize this drawer, but I ended up deciding that the drawer or like the drawer dividers worked perfectly and we didn't actually need any. Actually, no, I think we do use one small container, but aside from that, we were able to just use the drawer dividers. I probably have said this a million times already, but just a reminder that one of the best ways to motivate yourself to declutter a space that you don't feel like doing, or really any project, like any cleaning project, anything like that, is think about how good it's going to feel once you're done and just picture that before and after in your mind. And 9 times out of 10, that's the motivation I need. So as a reminder, here's the before and here's the after. I'm so happy that so much of the stuff that we never reach for anymore is now gone, and it is so neatly organized, so much easier to grab. So grateful that we got that done. I'm now just putting back the dresser top, and then I realized that we had a little bit of an unboxing. I don't know if that's not the right word, like a restock. That's the right thing. We had some diapers and some wipes to restock. Actually, though, I realized this little seat that was back here we have not used in such a long time now because it's a little bit too small for Louis. So I decided we were going to be decluttering that item, not really decluttering because we're just putting it in storage because hopefully we'll use it for another baby in the future, but something that we do not need here out in his room anymore. And now I can go ahead and take all his diapers out and the wipes and organize them into the drawer. Alrighty, I hope you got some good motivation from this video and that you were able to get some things checked off your to-do list. If you're still getting stuff done and you want to continue to be productive together, then I will have my entire clean and organized playlists linked below and here on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe if you are new. If you watch until this part and you hear me saying this, comment a green heart because I'm looking at Louis' green diaper caddy. I'm curious how many of you are actually hearing me say this right now. But I really, really appreciate you. I'm so grateful to have you here, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye.